Watching your watch, they're late. 2018. Councilmember Gillio will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir.
Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Man, you gotta say it fast.
We need to get in sync. I know. Sometimes we're in sync and sometimes we're a little fast.
I'm like, oh, slow down.
Slow down. All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Gillio?
Here.
Vice Mayor Solario Luna? Present. Mayor Velasquez?
Here.
Councilmember Clower?
Here.
Councilmember Lenore?
Present.
City Manager Avera?
Present.
City Attorney Epperson?
Here.
Police Chief Westrick?
Here.
Great. The agenda for the City of Hollister City Council meeting of November 5th, 2018 was posted on the bulletin board on November 2nd, 2018 at 11:15 a.m. per Government Code Section 54954.2.
Thank you. City Attorney, do you want to report out from closed session?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report out of closed session is that the City Council discussed those items 1 through 4 agendized for closed session discussion. Direction was given to staff and negotiators. And the City Council adjourned. The City Council adjourned from closed session at 6:40 p.m.
Thank you. All right, tonight we have a few proclamations for Key Club, Philanthropy Day, and AMBAG. Is Key Club here? We'll start there. Come on over here. Whereas Key Club International, the world's oldest, largest high school service organization with more than 250,000 members in 38 countries, is observing the week of November 5th through the 9th, 2018 as Key Club Week. And now, therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, proclaim November 5th through the 9th, 2018 as Key Club Week in the City of Hollister, and call upon our officials and all citizens to support the members of this organization and make themselves aware of Key Club, whose members are preparing themselves to be better, more responsible citizens as they provide service to our community. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening. On behalf of the Key Club, I would just like to say thank you for this, because we are trying to make a difference in our community and in the world, and to be recognized for that, because not a lot of people know what Key Club is, or not a lot of people in our community know what it is. It just means a lot, so thank you.
There you are. And now we're going to move to National Philanthropy Day.
All right.
Step on up, sir. Stand next to me. Whereas philanthropic organizations are responsible for enhancing the quality of life of people, and now, therefore, I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, do hereby proclaim November 15th, 2018, to be National Philanthropy Day in the City of Hollister, and urge everyone to recognize the tradition of American philanthropy as it continues to improve and enhance the lives of all by promoting the common good.
Thank you.
You're going to say a few words.
Do you notice he did say just a few words? That's very dangerous. But on behalf of the nonprofits who serve our community, as you know, there's 152 nonprofits who serve San Benito County, and this is our 17th annual National Philanthropy Day. So I, on behalf of them, want to thank the City Council for all your support for the nonprofits. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gary.
Get that sign for it.
Get a sign.
Can't run off on me yet. Here you go, sir. All right, AMBAG. Here you are. Good to see you. I miss our meetings over there, Marina.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I actually really do.
Sounded sincere.
It's a nice way for me to drive to a meeting out of town in Marina and just relax as I drive in the traffic. So, whereas the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments is celebrating its 50th anniversary of service to the local community on November 14th, 2018, and upon this occasion, it is deserving of special public. And now, therefore, it be resolved that I, Ignacio Velasquez, Mayor of the City of Hollister, do hereby proclaim the contributions of AMBAG has made to the local area are invaluable and reflect an organization devoted to the highest ideals of community service, that the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments be commended on the celebration of its 50th anniversary and extend best wishes for continued success in the future. Thank you very much. Talk about a little bit about what AMBAG does. It's very important.
It's going to be a tough act to follow. On behalf of AMBAG, I'd like to thank the mayor and the council members here for this special recognition. AMBAG is the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. We coordinate regional transportation planning for the San Benito, Monterey County, and Santa Cruz counties area. And we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, and here's to 50 more. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items council would like to pull?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I would like to respectfully request that items A3, A4, A5, and A6 be continued until the November 19th meeting, as there is one paragraph in the terms of those professional services agreement or the employment contracts that needs a little bit of clarification and rewording. So as soon as we fix that, we'll get it back to you as soon as possible.
Okay, are there any other items from council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull A16.
Mr. Mayor, I need to recuse myself from item A9 as a family member has a financial interest in that project, as well as item A12 due to the fact that the brokerage I'm associated with is representing somebody that's with that item.
Okay, do we have any other items? I'd like to also pull item A9 and A12. Do we have any from the audience? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve all others as written.
Second.
There's a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We will move to item A9 first.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. This item is regarding City Council approval of a subdivision improvement agreement for the Los Pinars subdivision. This development has an approved tentative map and has been conditionally approved by the City of Hollister for the construction of 15 single-family homes, 26 townhomes, 44 apartment units. The subdivision improvement agreement will protect the city by guaranteeing that all public improvements are completed in accordance with the approved improvement plans and the tentative map conditions of approval. Staff recommends the City Council adopt the resolution, which will authorize the execution of agreement for improvements with the Los Pinars subdivision. If there are any questions from City Council, I can try to answer.
Yeah, I actually pulled this. I have a question for you. This was here about a month ago, I believe, and it did not pass at the time, so what has changed?
There was modifications done. In this case, there was item number 10, the final map review, improvement plan review, and inspection administration. We added an exhibit and modified that item, and as well as item number 40. That was added. It was a memorandum of agreement. It was a suggestion to have the subdivision improvement agreement and the memorandum of agreement in one document during the last meeting. So this was kind of merged. The memorandum of agreement was added to the subdivision improvement agreement.
Okay, is there any questions from council? Do we have any speaker cards or?
I have a quick question. Can you tell me how long this? Sometimes people get confused about what the process or where we're at. Can you tell people how long this development's been in the process?
so to speak, from application until now, roughly?
That I need help with, Danny.
I'm not going to hold you to an exact date. Just, has it been 3 months? Has it been 2 years? Has it been 3 years? Or
It's been over a period of several years for this project.
okay. And what we're looking at voting on tonight is to ensure that the individual either gets a bond and also completes the subdivision, which is the streets, the sewer, the sidewalk, those sorts of things. And if they don't, we have a bond so that the city complete those, so we don't have a dust bowl, essentially. Is that accurate in layman's terms?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay. Council Member Lenore?
May I speak about why I think, is it appropriate for me to say why I support this?
No. Well, I think it'd be better if you have any questions right at this point. You can add if you like
Well,
it.
I
Yes.
mean, at what point do I make my comment? I'm new on here, so at what point do I say
Well,
this is
we'll
why?
do. Yeah, you can make a comment, but I think first we'll do questions and then any audience, and then you can make whatever you want to say.
I'll do the comments when you say them.
Okay,
I
no
don't
problem.
have questions.
Yeah, no problem. Vice Mayor Luna?
Yes, Danny. This property is there on the original KNS Market, Brown and Chapel hardware store? Is that it?
Yes.
So that property has been sitting there. Before that, it was the Hollister Drive-In Theater. So some people may remember that. But that property has actually been sitting there about 30 years.
For a long time.
Or longer than that, because after the earthquake, when Brown and Chapel moved over there, that property has been there vacant. Absolutely nothing has been there. And it has become, again, an eyesore within the city of Hollister. And this is the property that's being discussed tonight.
Yes. And again, I'd like to point out, this is not for approval of the project. The project has gone to the Planning Commission. They have an approved tentative map. They can move forward with recording their map. All this is doing is approving the subdivision improvement agreement, which will further confirm and guarantee that the city gets the public improvements to meet those conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speaker cards?
Yes. First, we have Al Valles, and then we have Kurt Nicholson.
Mr. Vias?
Oh, I haven't seen Kurt.
Oh, Mr. Nicholson speaking for you? Whichever you want, sir.
Hi, my name is Kurt Nicholson. Live here in Hollister, California. I have an interest in this project, and I think Danny may have hit on some of the high notes of it. That our concern is that this project is already approved, and maybe the city attorney can further explain. We're not here for approval, as I understand it, but we've been in this project since 2006. We've had 4 different tentative maps. And my understanding is this is ministerial at this point. There's a subdivision map act that defines the timeframes and so forth. And we're not asking for any special favors here. We're just asking for what's right. And the law prescribes what's right. We didn't get a chance to speak at the last meeting when it was denied. Pretty disappointed in that. And hopefully tonight we'll be able to get some dialogue and clarification. If you could possibly back me up on that. Is this in fact an approved project, and we're down to just going forth on the development agreement?
Mr. Nicholson, I can't really give that sort of a legal rendering at this point, and so I would defer to the city staff to make that type of a comment. I can only give advice to the city council and make render decisions or opinions on certain things, and in open session, that's not necessarily an appropriate act for me to do. But city staff, I'm sure, can comment on that.
Absolutely.
So that's basically what I have to say. Is that we're not looking for any favors. We just want what's right, and we've come a long ways, and it's good for the community. The city staff has gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, and it's a good project, and we just want to do what's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vias, I believe.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to be able to speak up here. But I'd like to thank first the staff. They've done a wonderful job this far. It has been a long process. We started this process about 12 years ago, and we've been through 4 different maps. And basically, the difference has been what the city wanted to see out of our map. And I think staff will agree with you that we got a map that I think they're very proud of. I think it goes along with everything that the city said that they wanted. They wanted multifamily, they wanted apartments, they wanted mixed use, and that's what we did. And we're just at the point now where, again, the way we understood it, that this subdivision agreement was not to benefit us. It was for the protection of the city, to make sure that the improvements get done, that we put up the necessary bonds and whatnot that ensure that we get that done. So, again, I thought that this was more just of almost, so to speak, automatic. That's something that the city adopted, I think, about a year ago. And we're just trying to jump to the hoops that we've been asked to jump through, and we hope that this just gets voted through and that we're able to proceed. And I'm here if you have any questions.
All right.
If there's any questions about that agreement or anything when it comes to that corner.
Thank you.
We have Marty Richmond and then Elias Salinas.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Marty Richmond from Hollister. I have no direct or even indirect investment in this project, except for one thing. I live in this city. And it is the worst kept secret in the world that we've got people doubled and tripled up all over the place in this city, illegally. And we're not going to throw them out in the street, but they need a place to live that is safe and that is good for a place to live. And I got to tell you, if we can't get a place to live that includes apartment houses and townhouses and only a few single-family residents in a reasonable price structure in the middle of the city, in the middle of an empty lot that has been nothing but a place where the dust blows around for as long as I can remember, then we're not worth anything. Okay? There's reasons to oppose $700,000 houses. There's reasons to oppose things in the wrong place. But, you know, we've got houses in this city that are being turned into apartment houses because no one can find a place to live. They're renting out rooms for $800 apiece. And you got people renting those rooms who don't even have a bathroom of their own. Now, they're proposing to put in apartments, which we need desperately, and townhouses, which we need desperately, and only a few single-family homes to try and pay the bills. I cannot imagine why anybody would have any objection. This is not leapfrog development. This is not development on a piece of land that doesn't need to be developed. It's development on a piece of land that is doing nothing. It's sitting behind, if I remember where it is, it's sitting behind Gold's Gym and doing absolutely nothing. I believe at one time somebody had a gardening spot out there, and that failed. And so it's a place where businesses have failed time and again. It's a perfect place for housing. It is adjacent to housing. Now, I understand we've got a lot of arguments about where people stand on various things. But, you know, the worst part of it is when those arguments wind up killing a project that's been in the works for 12 years and we need badly. And I would feel the other way around, too. I feel it would be bad if we approve projects that stink. But this is not one of those projects. This is really a good project because it has the apartments, and we desperately need somewhere to live. We graduate 700 kids a year from San Benito High School. 200 of them go away to college. The other 500 of them stay here. They have to have somewhere to live. They can't all move in with their grandmother. And if you've ever lived with your grandmother, like I did for many years when we were really poor, you don't want to do that forever. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. She's next.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. As the group has...
Sorry, Elliot, can you just for the record, state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It wasn't
Elia
mentioned
Salinas,
earlier. Thank you.
City of Hollister resident. This group has done everything that it's been asked to do. It's jumped through hoops. Every time they've come back, they improve the project because this is what the city has wanted. The city has asked of them. They go ahead and they comply with what the city has asked for them. 12 years is a long time. This project, what we're approving tonight, or with the recommendation tonight, is basically just to protect the city with regards to the infrastructure. And Marty was absolutely correct that one of the things that I'm really proud about this project is the fact that we do need affordable housing in Hollister. We really lack it. There are multiple families living in homes. This is a great project. This is exactly where we should be going with affordable housing, and I strongly recommend that the City Council please approve this as recommended by the staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's no more speakers.
More speakers? Thank you. Question for you. Does this project have its own homeowners association? It does?
Yes.
It does have it?
Yes.
Okay. Does it cover the cost of the roads, the future costs of maintaining the roads?
Yes.
Good to hear. See, now we're on a roll here. And all their landscaping issues and all those issues are covered by the homeowner association?
Private. Their bioswales, everything's private.
So they're all covering all the costs, so the city won't have to go in there and do any work down the road?
Absolutely.
Okay. You had a comment.
Yes. You touched on a lot of it. I was on the planning commission when this came through. It has been a lengthy project. Here's some of the reasons why Los Pinars is good for the city of Hollister. They're going to have apartments, but I believe they're going to be market rate, and we need that. Because we build affordable apartments in this town, and we need those too. But you got people that do not qualify for affordable housing. They also need places to rent. Their townhomes got a higher density with variety. You have a more affordable unit with a townhome, and then you can also have possible rental investments for people that buy townhomes and then they rent them. You have the infrastructure's all in place. Your roads are there, your water and sewer is there. I mean, it's right there on the perimeter. Electric and gas is there. It's going to be required to annex to the community facilities district of 4 and 5. You do have private roadways in the interior. You'll have an increase of property tax to the city revenues, and this is infill at its finest. When you look at the definition in the general plan and the municipal code, you'll see that this complies 100% with infill development. That's all. Thank you.
Sure you didn't miss anything?
Nope.
Thank you for all the information. I'm actually pleased to hear that we have a project here that's going to cover our costs from day one and into the future, and that's been something I've been trying to explain for quite a while here, and I'm pleased to hear that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve item number A9 as it came to us last month as well. Thank you.
Second that.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're going to go to item 12, A12.
Abraham.
Commissioner. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Abraham with the City of Hollister Development Services Department. I'm here to answer any questions specifically to item 812. If you prefer that I provide with a brief summary, let me know however you would like to proceed.
Do you have any questions from council? Maybe you can help me with the same conversation about the homeowners association and covering their roads and.
For this item? Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, so this item, it's a 4.12 acre parcel, and this is a performance agreement that's being asked for support by the City Council, particularly for the point. It's about a 3/4 of an acre portion of the entire 4.12 acre part, and that's for the 12 apartments that were approved. This was also approved by the Planning Commission back in April for 25 single-family lots and 3 lots for multifamily, and the multifamily would consist of 12 apartments. And so essentially the performance agreement being brought before you tonight is because the applicant has secured or is working on securing the single-family homes. However, the multifamily portion, he is asking because staff put a condition that the Planning Commission approved indicating that prior to the 11th building permit of the single-family homes, the multifamily would also, building permits would be taken out for the multifamily. They're asking if with the performance agreement an option can be included as that condition to indicate that if they cannot pull building permits by the 11th single-family lot, then what they can do is provide the 3/4 of an acre part of the property for the city of Hollister, and also give the city of Hollister $100,000. Not necessarily for the city to build the apartments, because $100,000 will not take us very far for one, much more 12 apartments, but essentially to market the 0.75 acre property for a potential builder to be able to build the property, the 12 apartments. So what staff is requesting tonight is a performance agreement approval to allow for that option.
Okay, so this is where I end up having a problem again. I want to see projects that have this all in the mix and not an option out, is what I'm hearing here. And did you answer the question, is this a homeowners association throughout the entire project?
This is not going to be a homeowners association.
Okay,
This is a community facilities district.
All right, do we have any other questions or comments from City Council? Do we have any speaker cards?
Yeah. The first speaker is Ann Hall and then Jason Noble.
Maybe it's not plugged in.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Ann Hall, and I'm here on behalf of the client. This is a project, again, similar to the last one in some elements, in that it is infill. It's in an area of town over on 4th Street where I think the city's been looking for development for quite some time. But to specifically answer one of the questions the mayor asked, this does not have an HOA. It has a single-family homes, which typically do not have an HOA, and apartments, which do not require an HOA because they're all owner-maintained and controlled. So there's no HOA on this property. The property is infill on an empty lot over on between South Street and Jan Avenue. And if you're familiar with Jan Avenue at all, you know that it's a full street, and then it's a half street, and then there's no street, and then it's the other half of the street. This project would actually fill in all the missing pieces of Jan Avenue, so you would have connectivity between Rakovich neighborhood and West Side Boulevard. So it provides not only filling up, not only infill in areas where the city already provides services, roads, and everything, but it would be filling in Jan Avenue. It is providing apartments. And again, what's before you tonight is not approval of the project itself. It's approval of the performance agreement that would allow the buyer, who will be building the single-family homes, to be separated from the current developer who would build the apartments. It's just another way of assurance that would not burden the buyer, but would burden the developer who's bringing it before you tonight. So it's putting him on the hook for the apartments rather than the buyer of the single-family homes. But again, the things that were said about the previous project in terms of wanting apartments, wanting infill in areas in the city that do need to be developed, I believe this project also fills that bill. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions?
You said apartments, and I'm just wondering, what is the count and how many apartments?
There's 3 parcels, each with a 4-unit apartment on it, so it's a total of 12 facing South Street, on the South Street side of the property.
Okay. And this is the one that faces 4th Street as well?
This is specifically not. There's 2 projects going on. There's the Solario, the same developer, Solario, which faces 4th Street, goes from 4th Street to Jan Avenue. This one goes from Jan Avenue to South Street. And the intent is that they would be built together. And like I said, that would complete Jan Avenue all the way from West Side through to the Rakovich property.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Ann, if you don't mind. Ann?
Councilmember Gilio?
So one of the original concerns I had with this project was that Jan Street was not going to be fully improved, and now because of some other developments in the area and changes to this development, that is going to happen, correct? We're going to have
Yes.
full sidewalk. We're not going to have any breaks in the sidewalk so kids can walk to school and all that sort of thing. Is that correct?
Correct. It'll be fully developed all the way to
Okay.
West Side.
And then I'll leave it there for now, and if there's other comments, I'll follow up after. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any speaker cards?
Jason Noble is next.
Good evening. I'm Jason Noble. I also represent the owner of the property and the purchaser of the property, which is Meritage Homes. We're very pleased and excited. This will be the first Meritage Homes project in the city of Hollister. They're currently building in San Juan Bautista, Gilroy, and other areas of California. Ann did a very good job explaining that. I just also want to add some history to it briefly in that at the time when the tentative map was approved, as Ann mentioned, there was a condition that tied the issuing of the 11th building permit to the start of the multi-residential project. Once we got into a due diligence study period with Meritage, Meritage doesn't build multi-units, and that wasn't a component that they desired, but it was a condition of the map, and the owner of the property wants to fulfill that. In June, we came to the Planning Commission and asked, just as a head nod at the Planning Commission, is that something that they would be interested in us bringing back? And then in September, the Planning Commission amended the condition. Subsequent to that, we had meetings with the city manager and staff to develop a performance agreement, which was done in earnest and good faith and brought before you this evening. So that the issue being is, again, Meritage is a publicly traded company. One, so that they knew they could build their project uninterrupted, but two, also that the owner wished to show his sincerity in the desire to construct the three fourplexes on South Street, which also will have improvements completing the link there. There's a section of South Street across the street from Blue Mountain that there's no curb or gutter, so that would also be an improvement made to give kids an opportunity to walk without going out in the street. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Marty Richmond.
Nova, can I ask, did Stuart have a card in as well? He's part of the application, so I wanted to make sure that the applicants have an opportunity to speak before we get to the public
Go ahead,
hearing part.
Okay,
Mr.
after Marty or?
Yeah, that's Mr. Richmond.
Sorry, I didn't see the name on the card.
Marty, we'll go ahead and go you first. Or, actually, it's fun watching you walk back and forth, so.
I need the exercise. Marty Richmond from Hollister. Unlike the other project, I would ask the members of the board to not approve this change. The reason is my experience, my personal experience is I've been coming to these meetings for 10, 12 years, something like that, and I probably got as good an attendance record as anybody, maybe better than most. And you know, I find out the more complicated these quote arrangements get, the more likely they are not to get done. That's just my personal experience. There's all kinds of bailouts. We don't want to do it. We'll get somebody else to do it. We can put it for sale. We can do all kinds of things. The one thing they're not saying they can do is do it the way they originally agreed to do it, which is to get it up and running. I'm not very happy about the balance between single-family homes and apartments anyway in this particular case. It's not that good, in my opinion. I don't know if the homes are affordable or if they're market rate homes. I'll hear about it, I'm sure, in a minute. But listen, there's a reason we put in all this stuff about, you go build the apartments when you get started. That's because we don't want them not to build it when they get finished. And that often happens. And this is no accusation on any particular builder or any particular developer. I just know that if you get it in writing and you get it correctly scheduled and it gets done, if you start hanging all these ifs, ands, buts, maybes, could be, should be on it, it doesn't get done because that's all wiggle room for the courts. And we don't want to give anybody any wiggle room for the courts. We want people to do what we require if they want our permission. The valuable permission we give unbelievably valuable permission we give to develop, which they take a piece of land that's worth almost nothing, and all of a sudden it's worth a fortune. And we understand how that works. We just want a fair share for the people of the city of Hollister. So I urge you not to approve this change. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Stuart Spencer.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Stuart Fahmy, the owner of the property. I just want to make some comments about what the gentleman just said. We have 12 apartment units to be built along with 25 single-family homes, so it's like a third of the total project on Thoris is going to be apartments. The only reason, as Jason indicated, that we're doing this performance agreement because Meritage Homes is not going to be in the business of building apartments, and I am going to build these apartments. And we discussed it with the staff and with the city, and we felt that reaching a performance agreement that basically makes sure that I will be building these apartments, and I will. What kind of performance agreement can we get there? And we discussed it, and we negotiated over a lengthy period of time. And I finally agreed that if in the event that we do not build these apartments, I will dedicate the land to the city, and it's valued anywhere from $500,000 to $600,000 at no cost to the city. I will also have done all the improvements along with the homes, which cost about $200,000. And in addition to that, I even agreed to leave $100,000 for the city, or with the city, in order for them to assure the building of the apartments. I have talked to some of you before in front of the Planning Commission, and everyone in the city wants apartments to be built, and I do too, and I want to help the city. We have other projects going on, and we intend to stay in the city of Hollister and do our projects and be part of the city growth. And I hear the gentleman speaking here, but there are some issues. This performance agreement tonight is just basically to give the city council and the city of Hollister assurances that these apartments are going to be built. We're not going to leave this land or this money or these improvements costing over $900,000 with no return. It's absolutely not my intention. I will be building these apartments. They will be built on South Avenue. South Avenue will be improved. Jan Avenue will be improved. And as I said, in the event, and we intend to do them together, by the way, but in the event that for whatever reason they're not built, I will have to, and the city will have a deed to the land at no cost, in addition to all of the improvements, in addition to $100,000. I'll be delighted to answer any questions the mayor or the council has for me and explain our position, and I'm here to get this thing done so we can move on about our project.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gilio?
Yes. Mr. Fahmy, is that how you pronounce your name? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
I want to get it right.
Fahmy.
So my concern, my concern is the teeth in the agreement in order to get this done. So I'm not going to ask you how much money you made or how much profit you made on selling this project to Meritage. That's none of my business, frankly. But when you look at it as a business owner, if it's a small percentage, if the $900 you're adding, $900,000 you're adding up to $600,000 for the value of the property, which frankly I don't believe that the city, I don't think we want property like that. I don't think we want to have to deal with it. What are we going to maybe turn it into a park? $100,000 isn't going to allow us to build any buildings. Some people, I'm not saying you, other people may just want to walk away from this project. Hey, I sold my deal. I'm going to write off $900,000 as a loss on my taxes, and I'm gone. So my concern is that we get it right so that you are incentivized to finish. If things change in your life, and and I'm directing this to you because you're there answering the questions. If you want me to talk in a third party, I will.
No, please.
If a developer wants to just take off and leave, if there's more of a consequence to leaving, I'm more comfortable with this. But if it's just, $100,000, I can write it off. I already sold the rest of the property and the improvements. I'm out of here. That's where my concern is, and I need to figure out. Maybe staff, you can, Mr. Rivera, if you want to talk about a little bit if there's anything else we can do to assure that these apartments get built, because that's how this project was approved, and I don't think we should ever bend a little bit and say that we don't want these apartments built because we need those desperately.
If I may just address the point you raised, Mr. Gilliam, and that is it's not $100,000 only. It's the value of the land. It's a value of all of the improvements that are going to be built. plus the $100,000.
Right.
And $900,000 is a big portion of whatever money I'm going to be making on this project, which is, anyway, that's not here or there. But it's a substantial number. But again, I am here to discuss it with you, and if there is any way we can reach an acceptable, if that assurance is not acceptable, I'm willing to listen. I want to get this project going. We want to build these homes. We want to build these apartments. We want to be part of Hollister and the growth in Hollister.
And last question, is it your intention to build these apartments or to sell it to Chispa
No,
or
I will be
somebody
building
else?
them myself. I will be building them myself, and the property is going to be in my name, and the money is going to be mine, and it's going to be deposited with the city, and the improvements are done by me, and the money is set aside for these improvements. So yes, it will be all me.
And do you have financing lined up for this already?
I have financing lined up for the construction of the whole thing, but the money for the improvements and for the land that has already been accounted for, that's already been paid
I'm
for.
talking about for the apartments. Are you ready to go? Start
I am
pounding
ready to
nails?
go. I'm dealing with my banker. I'll be delighted to share that on
No, you don't need to do that.
privately.
No, that's fine.
But they are working on a construction loan, and we will be building it together along with the Meritage project. So yes, the answer is yes, sir.
And then City Manager Rivera, can you confirm that it would be the same schedule? So if Meritage starts building tomorrow, I know it's not going to happen, let's assume they start tomorrow, they would complete 10 building permits, and he needs to have his apartment complex framed by the time they do their 10th? Or is it still going to be tied into that? Or without consequence, obviously?
Yeah, the purpose for the performance agreement essentially is this, is it's to ensure that the city is satisfied that the developer or the owner of the property right now is going to perform. What Meritage is looking for is part of the third party in this agreement, although they're not spelled out in here, is that all they want to make sure is that the city is satisfied and won't prohibit them from pulling their 12th permit if, in fact, Mr. Femi doesn't perform on his end of the bargain. So that's why everything is kind of based on that 11th building permit. So if Stewart hasn't started the construction of his project or the multifamily units at the time that the 12th building permit is ready to be issued, Meritage Homes continues with the project, but the city is then the recipient of the property at that point.
The property, the $100,000, and then whatever the improvements were.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other questions? Vice
We
Mayor
have
Luna?
one more speaker.
Oh, we have one more.
It's,
Well, he's the applicant, so I think we're trying to get
oh, okay.
the questions
I'd be happy
answered.
to answer any questions.
So let me go ahead and, Vice Mayor Luna.
Yes, my question was, Marty did bring up something that's important. And when we're looking at spaces that have been there for a while, which in this case, 1240 South Street area is an empty lot, just like the one we were talking in the previous item. My concern is that whenever you're building these apartments, we want to make sure that they will come in as affordable. We want people that live here in Hollister, that work here, to actually be able to rent these apartments, to live here. So my question to you is, you have 12 residential apartment units. Are they affordable? Will they be affordable?
They are not going to be marketed as affordable units. That's a completely different business that I really don't know much about. I mean, the affordable homes is a different type of development that I am not experienced in it at all. No, these will be market rate. The issue of affordability was never discussed. The property was not zoned for, apartments were not part of the zoning, but in negotiation with the city and the planning commission and the staff, we were asked to build these apartments because the city needed apartments, and so we put that element in it for the apartments. But affordable units was not part of the discussion at any time.
Okay, that was my question. 25 single-family lots, that's included in that project, right?
Correct.
So I see where across the street, the cottages area, they're building those homes. Apparently, they got a few affordable in there. So it's just my question that any time that any building is being done, or developed in Hollister, I want to make sure that the people that live in our city can afford it.
And again, if this project was presented and the entitlements process gone through with the idea or the condition that would include any affordable homes, then we would have discussed it and talked about it then, but that was never part of the discussion or the entitlements or the process.
Sir,
That was my question. Thank you.
We appreciate that. We're not here to try to change your application.
I'd be happy to
so
answer
thank
any
you.
other questions if there are any.
Okay. We're going to go to the next
Thank you.
speaker.
Is the next speaker is Elia Salinas.
My question was answered, so I'm
Oh, okay, then there are no more speakers.
Is there any more questions or comments from the council? No? Is there a motion?
Wait a minute. I do have a comment.
Okay.
I keep forgetting it's not a public hearing, so I was waiting for you. So, well, folks, everybody says we want rental units. We lost redevelopment agency. So you're not going to just have those units come upon you like they used to. When Mr. Fahmy proposed these apartments, I was surprised. The whole planning commission was surprised. We weren't even expecting him to do that. We were very pleased that he was willing to consider some multifamily. So again, we have to get more creative because we don't have redevelopment. It's an infill. It's going to connect Jan Avenue, as was stated. It's going to do the improvements on South Street. You're going to have sidewalk and utility easements. It's going to have water efficient landscaping like they all do. It'll be participating in district community facilities, District 4 and 5. I think this is a way to get it done. As I said, I was surprised when he came and proposed them. So at the very worst, we can end up with $100,000 and all these improvements that are done that he's going to foot the bill for. The $100,000 could be applied to Chispa, South County Housing, or CSDC to actually build those 12 units. You might even get a better product that way. But still, I feel confident that it's going to get done and if it doesn't get done by Mr. Fahmy, the city will inherit a piece of property that's worth more than it's worth some money. And we want apartments. So if you want to talk about doing apartments, or do you want to actually do them? And Mickey, I totally agree with you. We do need affordability. Those lots are in the overlay zone, so they are smaller. I'm hoping they bring a little bit of affordability there. Again, though, we need units that are not always just affordable for low income. We have a niche. We're not filling to the working people here that do not qualify for affordable housing. This is an opportunity outside of Chispa, CSDC, and South County Housing to provide rentals for working people that do not qualify for affordable housing. For me, I think condition number 56 could be amended, and that the city, whatever way it turns out, is still going to have the multifamily. That's all.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion?
So we're making the motion on the amendment of condition 56
The motion is based on this item.
for condition, the changing of the condition 56 of the resolution.
For the approval of the performance agreement.
So I'll make that motion that we do amend condition 56 for the performance agreement.
There's a motion. Is that the item of resolution is 2018-268?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So moved.
If there's a motion.
May I make a friendly
Wait, hang
amendment
on
to
a
the second?
Can I just clarify? I'll restate the motion just for the record as I understood it, and then you can adopt that as your motion if you'd like. A motion to approve resolution number 2018-268. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead.
That
I'll-
includes
it's
the
okay.
amendment.
I'm okay.
Yes, thank you.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
No.
No.
Mr. Mayor, I have a competing motion I'd like to make. I'd like to make a motion that we tentatively approve this and direct staff to renegotiate with the owner or applicant, whoever the appropriate person would be, to increase the amount of cash deposit. So you have the increase of the cash deposit, the property, as well as the improvements, so that if and when the economy changes, something goes bad, we are prepared to deal with this, and we have enough money as a city so we don't go into the negative dealing with this property that we're now going to inherit with legal fees and all these other items. And then I'd like to bring it back on a date to be certain, which would be November 19th, if you're amenable to that time frame.
City Attorney, being that would that be acceptable in that way? Or is it we made the motion and did not go through on the item?
the motion that was originally made failed. We can restate the motion that way. It sounds to me like you're asking for a motion to direct staff to renegotiate the item.
Yes, and specifically to increase the cash deposit so we're protected there, and then bring it back on a date to be certain so this doesn't linger on November 19th.
Well, it's probably something that the staff could revisit with the developer and then bring the item back.
Yeah, it
does
could
it
be
take
done
a
as a
motion on our
motion if
side?
there's-
Does it even take a motion on our side, or is this something staff could work directly with them and bring this item back?
The council could give direction to staff.
I have a motion on the table. We could either deal with it or not, right? Is it appropriate to deal with the motion as well?
You absolutely can. Yes.
Yeah? Okay, there's a motion.
I'll
Is there a-
second that.
There's a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Aye. The motion will pass 3-1. We had item 16.
Compromise, it's all about compromise.
Mr. Bernard. We're going to move to item A16.
Good evening, Mayor.
Oh, yeah.
No, get him out of there.
No break. You want to take a break to sign some people off this way or no?
Yeah, we do have a lot of students here, so we're going to take a 5-minute break so we can sign out the students that are here.
Sorry, my
Students, you want to come up and get your stamps?
Come on up. How you guys doing, man? Thanks for being here. Sorry. I don't know what my name is. You look like you're an ag, man. I appreciate that. Awesome. What's your last name? I just signed quick. If they have any questions, you got my name right there. Thanks. What? No pink form. Austin. I have the guy's pen. He's gone. It's all right. I guess I got a new pen.
16.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. Item number 16 is permission for us to apply for Proposition 68 Park Bond Funds. Basically, this is a once-in-a-career opportunity to get some free money from the state, 100% grant. There's no matching funds. And staff met last week. We identified 6 separate projects that would like to take a shot at. So we'll submit 6 separate applications for each project, one of which is Brigantino, which you approved earlier in the evening.
And Mike, I'm the one that actually pulled it. And the reason I pulled it is because I know that Proposition 68 passed in June during the primary, which is really $4 billion in bonds for parks, natural resources. And my concern would only be that if the city of Hollister would say to the state of California, we are withdrawing a grant that we received for whatever reasons may be, will that affect any applications that we may be applying to? For instance, this one that we certainly may qualify for, in regards to whatever part that we are actually talking about. I noticed that in the summary of funding categories and eligibility, $725 million are for the creation and expansions in parks where poor neighborhoods.
That is correct.
And I believe that the west side of Hollister is at times considered that. And I am very concerned that should we apply to this, would that have any impact on any grants that we may want to withdraw?
I believe it is not mentioned in the rules anywhere that there's any past previous performance is judged. They set out the rules. There's a point score. That is not one of the items that they would be judging any of these applications on. They do have very strict low-income requirements to get all those points. And actually, many of our projects do not meet that threshold. We did send 2 staff today up past Sacramento for training on it, and I have not gotten a report back from the staff on what the thing, but it was a public project, and we did input that their threshold was not meeting the standard that AMBAG has set for low income.
Right.
So we're trying to get them to amend their rules before the final print of the grant application, which is later at the beginning of next year, so that lines up, because it really doesn't. They were setting a new low level than what the standard has been for years.
Right. It's very interesting to read the requirements, the summary of actually that bond, those bonds. $4 billion for the state of California is a lot of money that will be actually allocated to the different areas in California. And my concern was I would not want Hollister to be put on a listing of, not actually withdrawal of awards, because I think that would hurt our city very much. So that was my concern. That's the reason I pulled it, because I just wanted to hear, clarification from you. So thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Clower.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mike, can you give us an idea of what those other 5 projects are?
So Brigantino, Park Hill, full build out of that master plan, the full build out of Brigantino master plan. We're looking at possibly doing a community center indoor gym park at the Leatherback properties. There are 2 properties that were identified as possible acquisitions for parks, and I can't remember what the 6th one was. We're also looking at the industrial wastewater treatment plant was sized for 3 canneries. We're down to 1. We're looking at possibly redesignating a portion of that for stormwater treatment and a passive recreation feature, extend South Street down into it, make parking for Brigantino there, and throw in a bridge over the river.
The way the grant's set up, because those are all pretty go big or go home projects, is there like a halfway or a certain percentage that we could get on some of those things? Because all of those sound like multi-million dollar projects.
They are all multi-million dollar projects. It would be up to the state on how much they would fund, and at that point, it would be up to the council whether to accept the grant funds and put up additional funds at that point to finish it, or whether we modify our project. I can tell you for a fact with Brigantino, because we're now going to be in the design process, that Brigantino is going to be about a 16-phase design, so we have bite-sized chunks of the whole. So if we only get 30% of the funding, we can do 30% of the project without having to go back to the drawing board. Some of these other projects, they're not on the drawing board yet. I'm going to recommend the same, that when we do those plans, we do many phases so that if we get funding for phase 1 through 7, we can do phases 1 through 7.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, Councilmember Gilio.
Thank you, Mr. Chambliss, I just wanted to take some time to say thank you to all the staff that work on these grants proactively. We don't have a grant manager, so just staff going out there and doing this on their own and identifying these grants. This is not something that happens at every agency, and we are better off for you guys doing that. So I want to say thank you very much.
And for the record, it's Mary Paxton and Heidi McDonald that have been assigned to this project.
Thank you, Mary.
I'm just supervising.
And Heidi, sorry.
One of the questions I did have on this, and you kind of talked about as far as the size of some of these projects, is we've been talking about that ballpark, the ball field, but more in the partnership with the county. We talked about that in the past, to make a large enough 10 fields or large enough so we can have tournaments here every weekend. Would it not be wise to kind of work with the county on some of that also and try to see what we can do there to take turns with some of the grant dollars? Have we looked into that?
There is a component in the scoring for partnerships, and we are exploring those. In fact, we're going to be talking about that at a future council meeting, asking whether or not you want to partner with other groups. You get additional points for that. We're just now in the process of writing those staff reports, so we're not at that stage.
I just think it'd be a good idea if we're going to ever get that ballpark built at the quality level we need to bring in tournaments.
Are you speaking of what we're calling the county's regional park off of?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. We looked at in the past, we could put 10 plus fields out there, which could bring in the tournaments to our community. So if we can have that conversation, that would be appreciated. Okay. Do we have any speaker cards for this item?
Yes, Marty Richmond.
Marty Richard from Hollister. I'm in full support of going after this grant. We go after a lot of grants, and we get a lot of grants, and nobody, or very few people show up and say thank you. The staff knocks themselves out. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. And so when you lose, you put a lot of effort into it, and you don't get anything. But you got to keep plugging away. This is not a give up type of business. If you're a give up person, you don't need to be in the grant business, okay? Because the one thing, every time you lose, you got to get back into the business, and we need it. If we can't find poor enough people to qualify, we're looking in the wrong place, because I know they're here, okay? I don't think they run around going, I'm poor, but we've got people who are at the bottom of the economic ladder when you compare them to a lot of the places we're competing with, like Santa Cruz and Santa Clara County and parts of Monterey County. So I'm very happy that they're going for this. I think that it's really important that the public understand that, not every grant is a winner, and sometimes I've been reading all what's going on. Sometimes we make mistakes on grants because they don't come out quite the way we want. But, it doesn't matter. The staff puts their heart and soul into it to win. They're playing to win. And the result has been much better than any drawback we've ever had, okay? And in many ways, those affordable housing everybody talks about are actually grants just in a different form. Sometimes they come as tax credits. Sometimes they come as money that essentially we wring out of people who build housing for market rate. But they are what keep us going, because our revenue alone is not enough to do it. So I want to thank the staff for doing it. I want to thank the staff for being different than I am. When I lose, I really get upset, and I tend then to just walk away from it for a month, whatever I lost at. But you can't do that if you're in the grant business. You lose today, you got to get back to work, and you got to do it again tomorrow. So I thank them very much. I thank Mike and his staff. I thank everybody on this city staff who works on them, because people don't come running in here in droves yelling, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." They appreciate it, but they hold their thank yous for some other time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-272.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. We're going to move to public input.
Yeah.
This is time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speaker cards are available in the lobby and are to be completed and given to the city clerk before speaking. When the city clerk calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and city for the record, and speak to the city council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes with a maximum of 30 minutes per subject. Please note that state law prohibits the city council from discussing or taking action on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards tonight?
Marty Richmond.
I've been doing this for years, folks, and so I'm not tired yet. You don't get tired either. Marty Richmond. I had somebody last week, Marty Richmond from Hollister, tell me that my public input statements are an institution in Hollister. And I said, does that mean you want to put me in an institution? And they said, we're considering it. So I'm going to make this one, perhaps this will be the last of the night, I hope so. And this is to the public through the city council. And this is on the purview of the city council because it's something important, which is to the members of the public in the city of Hollister. We have been bombarding you, us candidates, with stuff for months. Okay, months and months. Enormous posters. We put them on your lawn. We've trashed a lot of highways, and I'm sorry for that. And they're overwhelmed you. And but just for the record, a poster never did anything. Okay, with a name on it. Mailers. Well, we've got enough junk mail in Hollister. There's probably 700 mail delivery people currently getting their backs worked on over at the chiropractor because they've been carrying around mailers. And me, especially with my loud voice, and many of us and all of us who are candidates, I have bombarded you with a lot of information, the public, and you've taken some of it in and some of it not, and we've been at you on Facebook and any other damn way we could figure it out to get at you. And we haven't given you much time to say anything. Tomorrow is your time to say whatever you want about anything. So the reason it's a free country is because you get the freedom to pick who you want to lead you. I'm not going to tell you who to pick. That's now your decision, because you've got all the information you need. So you get to pick who governs you. And let me tell you what, 99% of the world, they don't get that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Susan Logue.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Susan Logue, Hollister resident. Here with the Friends of the Library. I wanted you to know that October 17th, we had a celebration for our 38th year of being a friend to the library. And so we had a contest with the children, all the local kids, and they put up They made illustrations, and they wrote like a synopsis of their favorite book. And that's at the library right now. You can see it in the Barber Room. So we had about 50 families, I think, showed up that evening, and we had like a certificate of acknowledgement for them and gift cards. And the families were so excited. The kids were so cute, just adorable. Sometimes I wish I could bring pictures so I could show you, you know. I don't know if that's possible, but we had a really good evening. And then Ruth Erickson was recognized that night. I'm sure a lot of you know Ruth, as volunteer Ana Caballero's office. Recognized her for that. I think she's been with the Friends 30 years, about that. So, and then on another note, I'm with the Coalition for a New Community Library and Resource Center, and we are meeting on November 17th at 10 o'clock. Anyone who'd be interested in a new library and a resource center, please come on by and talk to us. We're also hoping that the city and the county can help us look at possible locations for a new library. So thank you very much for your support.
Ms. Logue, is that meeting on 10 o'clock at the library?
Yeah, 10 o'clock at the library in the Barber Room.
Thank you very much.
And then you can see the artwork, the children's artwork. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no more comments.
Okay. So we'll move on to City Manager's report.
Let's see. Oops, sorry. I just wanted to thank a couple of people tonight. We had our Street Treats event on Halloween. A ton of gratitude goes out to Tina and Jen and Nick and everybody at the Recreation Department, and all the people that are in the Public Works Department that go through every couple of weeks and block off the streets. It was certainly much bigger than I had ever imagined. I'll be quite honest with you. And so I enjoyed every second of it. I thought it was an awesome event. One other thing I'd like to thank. I had my mom passed a few weeks ago. I want to thank the council for their support. Obviously, the staff has been great to me, and not only the staff, but everybody in this community. I get cards on a pretty regular basis from people in this community that reach out, and it's pretty amazing how this small community can still come together. For me, it's been a pleasure. So, on that note, I will go on.
Mr. Mayor,
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, this may be a tiny bit out of line, but I met somebody in the foyer that wanted to speak during public comment. I don't know if they didn't get their card in or they changed their mind, or did you want to still speak? Okay, sorry.
G4.
Thank you.
Okay.
No problem. I just want to make sure you didn't get forgotten.
Bill, I'm sorry to hear about your passing your mother. And Tina? Oh my God. I turned that corner thinking this, 200-300 kids. It's like, whoa, what did they do? So great job.
Hopefully the weather stays nice on Halloween for the next few years, and we'll get it huge.
That was the key part. There's been a request to move item G4 up. There's several people here, so if we can have a consensus on that from the council.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and move that to the next item.
Good evening, council members. This item is related to active transportation program grant that the city was awarded for $1,078,000 for pedestrian and bicycle improvements in West Hollister. I'd like to have Abraham translate in Spanish.
Thank you, Mary. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if it's okay to speak Spanish as well, we did have 2 community meetings and there was a big presence of Spanish speakers, so if it would be okay to also translate in Spanish. Muy buenas noches a todos. Este reporte se trata sobre una petición para el Estado para agarrar fondos para mejoras a la calle Central Avenida. Entonces, este reporte del concilio se va a tratar sobre los resultados de las juntas comunitarias que se hicieron y sobre los próximos pasos que va a pasar en resultado a esta petición al Estado.
There are problems after the grant award was announced. It was learned that there was problems with the design of the bicycle lane on the section of Central Avenue between Tony Aguri Park and Line Street. The street there is not wide enough to allow by parking and then a bike lane with a stripe on the road and travel for 2 cars on the lane. We applied to Caltrans to amend the grant to change the bicycle lane to what they call a Class 3 lane for that section of the road, which means it would be similar to what you see on San Benito Street, where there's a sharrow and there's a sign and it says the bike may use the full lane, but it doesn't have a protected place on the road. The staff didn't support the recommendation to the California Transportation Commission. It didn't go to the CTC because they said that we may not have been competitive in the grant because the benefit would not have been the same. And so we went back to the drawing board to see if there was another option. And that was when we met. We had 2 community meetings to look at the option of removing parking on one side of the street.
Muchas gracias, Mary. La propuesta del Estado en la Agencia de Transportes de California para recibir esta beca de $1.78 millones era para las mejoras en la calle central, para poder tener una vía para bicicletas, como se ha presentado anteriormente. Entonces, lo que surgió fue de que el Estado indicó que no hay lo suficiente espacio en la calle central de aproximadamente el parque Tony Aguirre a la calle Line, no está lo suficientemente ancha para acomodar un espacio de bicicletas, un carril de bicicletas a lo que hay ahorita. Entonces, lo que hizo la ciudad habló con el Departamento del Estado de Transportes de California para ver si se podía amendar y poder eliminar el estacionamiento de uno de los lados de la carretera central para poder acomodar esta línea de bicicletas. Entonces, en parte, lo que el Estado requería a la ciudad es de que tuviera juntas comunitarias para ver el resultado de la gente, de los residentes de la ciudad de Hollister, en especial los que viven en esa área, para ver qué es la opinión de ustedes como residentes, especialmente los que usan la calle central. Entonces la ciudad de Hollister tuvo 2 juntas, una en la escuela Calaveras y la otra en la clínica de salud. Y entonces ahorita vamos a seguir con los resultados.
At the community meetings, what we heard was an overwhelming concern and frustration with speeding on Central Avenue. Some of the residents didn't see the value of having a bicycle lane without addressing speeding first and weren't confident that it would be used. Your report includes a summary of some of the suggestions and solutions from the residents and also their concerns. I'd like to point out that there have been some work orders to address some of the concerns, such as pruning trees.
El reporte que tiene el Concilio de la Ciudad como resultado de las 2 juntas comunitarias es de que varias de las cosas que escuchamos fue de que hay un apuro demasiado grande de vehículos manejando demasiado rápido por la calle central. También hay un apuro demasiado grande en eliminar estacionamiento público por la calle central, porque el estacionamiento público es muy necesario en la calle central. Y varios otros apuros que se escucharon de la comunidad en esas 2 juntas. Entonces, esa lista de apuros fue presentada como reporte al Concilio de la Ciudad.
Since the community meetings and in the staff report recommendation, number 2, it says conduct community outreach to determine if there's support for alternative design for a bike lane on one side of Central Avenue. We've learned that cost would be at a minimum $2 million, and we don't think that that's a feasible alternative for the corridor. We also asked about a one-way lane, and we're advised that that's not a good solution, particularly near a school. So at this juncture, we could pursue that request to amend the grant application with the Class 3 bike lane, but in consultation with COG and staff at AMBAG, they've said it's better with the California Transportation Commission to withdraw a grant award than to go forward with an amendment that they would deny. So we're recommending that we be directed to withdraw the award, but we're also recommending that we are directed to return with a report on funding and costs or scope of work for traffic calming on Central Avenue.
Entonces, el Estado requirió a la ciudad que llevara opciones para poder tratar de calificar por esta beca. Una de las opciones era de que la ciudad de Hollister pudiera, por ejemplo, eliminar uno de los lados del estacionamiento por la calle central, como se discutió en las juntas, pero esto también costaría, por el estudio y por las mejoras de todo eso, costaría como $2 millones, así que la recomendación fue de que mejor no llevar a cabo esa opción. La otra opción también se habló de posiblemente, y lo voy a decir porque fue una opción que se discutió, cambiar la calle central en nomás una dirección en vez de las dos direcciones, y eso tampoco fue apoyado. No es algo que debería de pasar por cómo es estructurada la calle central. Entonces, después de consultar con la agencia que maneja los diferentes transportes del condado, San Benito COG, y también con la agencia que maneja los diferentes transportes regionalmente, que es la Asociación de Asociación de Monterrey, de la área de Monterrey, que no solamente maneja las cosas de transportación de Monterrey, sino de San Benito y de Santa Cruz. Lo que se decidió es recomendar al Estado que mejor, y después de escuchar todos los apuros de los residentes después de esas dos juntas, lo que se recomendó y que se está recomendando al concilio es de mejor no perseguir más esta beca, no seguir persiguiendo más esta beca, sino ya no tratar de agarrar esta beca para hacer esos cambios en la calle central, sino más bien que el concilio nos sugiera y nos recomienda a nosotros como trabajadores de la ciudad que hagamos un estudio, que trabajemos con una agencia de ingenieros para hacer un estudio para ver cómo podemos ayudar a la calle central a poder reducir y disminuir un poco los apuros de los vehículos que corren muy recio por la calle y cualquier otro asunto relacionado para bajar un poquito las altas velocidades que se llevan a cabo en la calle central.
Is there any questions of the council?
Thank you. We'll ask, is there any questions from council members? Please. Vice Mayor Luna.
Yeah, my comment is that it's a sad day for Hollister for us to cancel or to withdraw a $1 million grant that is coming to our city. That took a lot of time to apply for. I know we had meetings at the community center, and you had actually a presentation that we put together, and that was in June, I believe, 2016.
March. In, I think, June 2015.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've had, I know in the west side, I personally have had 8 meetings, and then these 2 that the planning department had. My concern is that we don't want to be put in a listing where when we apply for grants that they're going to be denied. I've done some study on the west side. I've been there 11 times since the last meeting that we had at the Health Foundation. I have gone in there and actually looked at the traffic at different times. I've parked by the school. I've looked at the residential area. And of course, when you have a house that has 7 vehicles parked in front of your house, then that's going to make a difference on Central Avenue. Everybody's parking in the street. I have a concern for that. I think the city needs to start looking at these areas more carefully and, with the planning and everybody else. But saying that, I just hope that the residents of the area will look ahead to consider the fact that when we do these things, we have meetings. Those weren't the only 2 meetings we had. When we had, just for example, when we had a meeting about the sewer, I have the listing, because you know what? Myself, the day I was elected and I have these meetings, I have a listing of every speaker that comes to this podium and every topic. So when I hear of people saying she doesn't talk to us or she does, we don't we don't communicate, I have your names. I have the day you spoke and I have what you spoke about. And when we discuss the sewer, when we discuss the water, and we have meetings, and 4 people from the west side show up, 4, to discuss the sewer rates. That concerns me. That concerns me. And it should concern you, every resident of the west side. Because my concern now is, should we withdraw this, Mary? Then what happens to the business development that we're looking at right now that is maybe thinking and considering to come to the west side? Everybody says we need businesses. Yes, we do. But if we don't fix those streets on 4th Street for the business development, they're not going to come in and say we're going to fix the street and we're going to go in. They're not going to do that, and we know that. So my concern would be, if we withdraw this grant, do we still have funds that we can put together to go ahead and work on 4th Street only, so that we can make sure that that future business development continues to come in and service the west side, the west gate of Hollister? Because after all, that used to be the gateway at one time, and I think everybody remembers that. And let's not forget, that's our district. It belongs to all the city. It doesn't just belong to the representatives that represent that area as I do right now. I want to stand with the people. I want to stand with the residents. I want to support the residents. I honor their requests or whatever it may be, especially on Central. But I also do not want to lose funding. I want to make sure that the west side on 4th Street is developed, because it brings property value to them. It brings more to them. The businesses is required. So that would be my commentary, because I really feel that I don't want the people to lose out on anything. If that grant does not go through, we withdraw. But you know what? We need to keep working with every resident to make sure that we continue to work and better that community. Thank you.
Councilmember Clower.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say thank you to staff. This sounds and looks like it was a pretty tedious and long-term process, and it looks like it's probably not going to end up where we originally wanted it to. But you know what? Sometimes that happens. That's okay. You guys are putting on a lot of work, and I know, Mary, specifically, your interaction with the citizens is exemplary, so I appreciate everything you do. Also, I want to say thank you to all the citizens who did get involved and voice their opinions, whether it be at those meetings or on the petition that was signed. This is probably one of the few times in the 4 years that I've been on that we've had some significant engagement. So that's good. And you don't score every time you go down the field. So I think we're going to be okay with whatever happens here. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you, and what I really appreciate is that this time we listened. The public in that area made it clear what they wanted and what they did not want. and I'm proud to hear that we are going to be withdrawing from the application. Of course, we want to do other improvements, but if the public is voicing their opinion and their views, it's our job to listen. And they made it very clear. I also appreciate the fact that you caught something else very important, the traffic calming. They made that very clear. And I'm looking forward to seeing what those ideas are, if there are speed humps or whatever we're going to do, because not only on Central Avenue, but throughout the city, we need to have this conversation because it's out of control throughout the community. And I'm glad that we picked up that piece. It's a very, very important part of it. So this is not failure. This is success, what happened here, because we listened and we're going to go with the public's opinion rather than just saying we know better. So, and I know it's a lot of hard work, and you're nonstop out there doing it, but I also know something. You're going to find something else that probably is much better than what we had planned here originally, and I can see that happening. So thank you so much for all you've done on this. Councilmember Gilio.
Just a quick, this is just maybe even just a general question, Mary. If we apply for grant funds and maybe if we do it on multiple occasions and we don't use the money, does that put us in danger for the future? And in Spanish, mi pregunta es que nosotros tenemos este fondos y no uso los fondos del Estado y tiene peligro en el futuro del Estado dame la más dinero a Hollister aquí, o hay problemas así, or please.
We will be more competitive if we withdraw the grant than if we were to
receive and not use.
Receive and have the amendment rejected.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Council?
Mr. Mayor, would you like me to just briefly summarize,
Please.
members of the council? Okay, la discusión que tuvieron los miembros del concilio de la ciudad es de que quieren verificar que como ciudad de Hollister que estamos aplicando para una solicitud con el Estado para agarrar una beca, que al haber aplicado y ahorita la recomendación que es retirar esa beca, que si nos va a perjudicar como ciudad para cuando haya otros fondos que podría la ciudad aplicar, que si la ciudad podría ser afectada, como por decir, ¿por qué les vamos a dar, nosotros como Estado, por qué les vamos a dar más becas si las que le estamos tratando de dar no las aceptan? Entonces, la respuesta fue de que en este caso la ciudad sería más competitiva si no aceptara esta beca por los asuntos que tiene la calle central, por todos los requisitos que se nombraron. Entonces no sería un peligro a como la ciudad lo está viendo. También la otra cosa que se discutió fue de que la ciudad, el concilio está muy agradecido con todos ustedes que estuvieron presentes en las juntas, que votaron su opinión, que firmaron la petición, porque eso significa que ustedes como residentes de la ciudad tienen un interés en esta ciudad, en su comunidad, así que les dan las gracias. Los comentarios que también surgieron fue de que ojalá que así sea una manera de que para próximas juntas, no solamente por la calle central, pero otras juntas, y no solamente en el oeste de la ciudad, pero cualquier cosa referente a la ciudad, que haya más participación como la que se vio en este caso, que esto fuera algo excelente, porque es importante escucharlos. También se escuchó en la discusión de que en parte las gracias se les dieron por esta recomendación que se le está haciendo al concilio, las gracias a los trabajadores por escuchar los comentarios de los residentes y no perseguir más esta beca, sino retirar de esta beca, y también por no solamente escuchar, sino también recomendarle al concilio de que nos dirija a nosotros como trabajadores a trabajar con los ingenieros para poder llegar a un plan de ver cómo se le pueden hacer mejoras a la calle central para reducir el impacto de los vehículos en la calle central, el impacto de vehículos que manejan muy rápido y mejorar la calle en ese aspecto.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry. Vice Mayor Luna.
Lo que yo dije en inglés, Abraham no lo dijo en español. Yo se los digo en español. Yo lo que dije es que cuando retiren este grant, entonces queremos hallar un modo donde ahorita hay negocios que quieren entrar a esa área, la área de por donde está la calle 4. Yo quisiera que la ciudad se juntara y hallara modo cómo seguir para componer bien la calle 4, para que estos negocios que ahorita están interesados a venir, estar en este lado del pueblo, que vengan. Pero las calles tienen que estar compuestas para que entonces los negocios no van a llegar y decir, yo voy a componer la esquina y me voy a meter ahí de negocio. No lo van a hacer. Pero yo quiero que la ciudad lo haga, que juntemos un plan, como que sigamos moviendo para enfrente, adelante, y que componemos la calle 4. Ahorita ya se mira bonito, ¿verdad? Enfrente de los apartamentos. Hay luces, hay bancas, el sidewalk está más ancho, pues eso puede pasar, el plan de la ciudad ahorita, eso puede pasar en toda la calle, enfrente de la calle 4. Y queremos que se mire muy bonito ese lado del pueblo también. Eso es lo que yo le pido también a las personas que se sientan acá arriba conmigo, que no nos olvidemos que un día, en el pasado, todos llegaban por este lado del pueblo, todos. Y queremos que todavía siga eso y que el pueblo esté muy bonito y también se mire que hay restaurantes, uno de los muchachos que va a la high school dice, ponnos una pizza parlor allá en este lado, ponnos la botica que todos quieren. Pues es posible que sí llegue. Y es lo que yo pedí a este concilio y a las personas que dirigen los departamentos, que sigan con el plan. Gracias.
Correcto, mil disculpas, concejal Miki. Sí, entonces esa fue algo que recalcó usted, de que sí, la calle 4, como es una de las calles principales al oeste, que haga un plan para mejorarlo. Y como usted bien sabe, sí, ahorita el plan está en marcha, y nomás queremos recalcar de que cuando haya desarrollo, y no necesariamente nomás esperar por el desarrollo, si hay oportunidad de becas o cualquier forma, como dijo usted, de poder que haya fondos para poder mejorarla con banquetas, con luces, con árboles, para poder mejorarla, para que haya ese incentivo para los desarrolladores de comercios para que vayan a entrar, porque esa área está zonificada también para comercio, así que hay grandes oportunidades para eso.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any speaker cards?
Yes. The first one is Edna Herbert.
Thank you. Good evening and thank you. This is my first time. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyway, I'm new to the area. Hollister, and I love it. We took turnkey on March. Oh, my name's Edna Herbert. March 27th. This is just I'll make it fast and brief. I know I have 3 minutes. And I want to apologize for not making this last meeting regarding the Central Avenue, because that day my husband had surgery, so we just couldn't be there. And I apologize for his presence not being here, but he's recovering. He'll be fine. We get older, it's what we got to go through. But anyway, we do live on Central Avenue. And my concern was, and I got a lot of feedback from our neighbors, and also the school. It's an elementary. I'm still learning about Hollister, but we're in the new development, and I want to apologize. I'm sorry that they lost a grant, but like the mayor said, it doesn't stop here. You can go forward. Just approach it in a different way. Now, I want to just say one thing. First of all, Central Avenue is a residential area. The cars from 4th Street, if you make a right on West Side, and then just make a left right there on Central, and it curves. It's very narrow. Cars, I mean, there's a sign that's posted 20 miles per hour. Cars don't do that. They really just go so fast. They even go over it. It's scary. We got to really be careful. So that's a real concern there. It's narrow. I mean, there's a lot of residents that are moving in. You can't take parking away. I'm against that, taking parking away from people that are all new. And it's going to get even more busier because they're just building. And the bike lanes, I mean, I see and hear all the kids walking back and forth to school, and they sound so cute. You know, there's the ice cream trucks. They're right there, right after school for the kids. Bicycle lanes for kids and for even adults. If they're going to be riding on the bike because it's there, let's just say for an example, oh, they're going to feel in their mind, oh, it's safe. But with all the maniacs, forgive me for saying this, drivers, that someone can get killed, injured, and we can prevent this by not having that. That's what I wanted to share with you. How about speed bumps? How about approaching to get grants? Not just for Central, but other parts, as you mentioned, Mayor. But bumps, but not a little bump, a good-sized bump, so those cars that go really fast, that should help them slow down. This is my suggestions, but I am against, along with a lot of the neighbors, for the bike lanes, for the safety of people and kids. Kids are kids. I mean, we were all kids before. You don't think, because you're playing, you know, especially when they see the ice cream trucks, that people can get really hurt, and we don't want that to happen. But approach to get the grant a different way, like you said. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say, and
Thank you very much, Ms.
and
Herbert.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, would you like us to briefly translate the points?
Sure.
Okay. Voy a traducir un poquito lo que dijo la señora Edna Herbert. Nos dice que vive en la calle Central. Nos pone en alerta que hay una escuela de grados 3 a 8 y dice que si se pierde la beca del Estado del 1.78 millones, que está bien, que hay otras oportunidades que posiblemente se pueden ver para poder hacer otros tipos de mejoras en la calle. Dice que la calle Central, dice que hay signs donde dice que es 20 millas por hora, pero la gente maneja muy rápido y no se debe de retirar el estacionamiento. Y que posiblemente si se pone una línea de bicicleta, los niños y las personas que la usen pueden sentirse seguros, pero nada prohíbe que personas que manejen muy rápido, que lo hay, puedan causar algún accidente y puede ser algo muy peligroso. Entonces, dice que pueden haber otras soluciones, como posiblemente poner algunos topes en la calle Central o alguna otra cosa por el estilo.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make one comment. I wanted to tell you folks that you can ask city staff. For 20 years I've been nagging about the speeding in this town, and not just on my street, San Benito, but everywhere. I know they laugh when I leave the room. Looks like I got some support now.
Let's go through the public comments, and then you can make your closing
Okay,
comments.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Nacho Pomp.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's right.
Hi there. My name is Ignacio Ponce. Call me Nacho. I live on Central, and for years and years, there's always been speeding. In fact, a child, I don't know if the city knows, but a child was killed there. And this has never been addressed. They've had people that have done plenty of petitions, and still nothing has been done. But yet they want to put in a bike lane for what? More targets? It doesn't make any sense. You know, I'm watching you guys right now. I see that you guys do care, but at some point, it needs to be fixed and addressed, and it hasn't. And, you know, I'm sorry that, you know, that I guess the way they're seeing it, or I'm hearing it, is that funding was for something else also. But that shouldn't be at our parking expense. somebody should have done this grant maybe a little bit different. I mean, the road has always been the road since I've been there. So, you know, unless you guys want to fix it and make it go another different direction, I'm, you know, like I said, I'm real sorry that you guys you may lose your funding, but it shouldn't be at our expense. And you got to figure it this way. If there's 130 spaces lost of parking, actually it's 260, because if those people can't park in their space, they're taking somebody else's on the side roads. And it goes on and on and on. For a good example, I don't know exactly on Central and I think it's West Side, there's a house there that burnt down a couple months ago. There was 21 people living there. Now, how many cars belong to them? And you want to take away that parking? You know, it's bad enough people are having a hard time to live and to find a place to live, but let alone just come in and take their parking. Why? So you can have funding for something else? It just doesn't make any sense. We do need speed bumps or a dip, and it only needs to be in the school area, because that's where the problem is in the area. I live right across from the school. I watch them speed down every morning, and it's people taking their kids to school. That's what makes it worse. I actually saw a lady this morning zooming in there, and I guess she was in a hurry to drop her off her own child. And I'm thinking, lady, you want to get your kid there safe, but yet you're putting in jeopardy the other children that are walking. So, you know, this is just my opinion, but I got a feeling that the other people here have the same opinion as I, and you guys need to address it. Like you said, there's a racing going on, and people drive fast in your community or part of town, but it, you know, like I said, it shouldn't be at our expense.
Thank you, Mr. Ponce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of the same comments were issued. So just very briefly, vive en la calle Central. Dice que hay peligros. Por ejemplo, hace unos años se murió una niña que machucaron. También dice que deberían de arreglar la calle de otra manera. Por la calle Central y la calle Westside se quemó una casa. Dice que habían como 21 personas que vivían ahí, donde se estaciona toda esa gente, y que también deberían de poner posiblemente algunos topes más junto a la escuela.
Thank you.
Violeta Sanchez.
Buenas noches al concilio de la ciudad. Mi nombre es Violeta Sánchez y soy miembro de esta comunidad por más de 45 años. Aquí no es nada personal ni nada, simplemente buscamos los beneficios de la comunidad. Estoy de acuerdo con Miki que se necesitan arreglar las calles. Lo único que yo ya estoy en una edad de retiro y yo ya no quiero pagar más taxas de propiedad que salga de mi bolsillo dinero. Era innecesaria la línea de bicicletas. Pedí que si tenían, cuando se haga, le sugerí a Mary y a Miki Luna que cuando hicieran al Estado para un préstamo o un bono, como se llame, hicieran el plan A y el plan B, y que escucharan a nosotros, la comunidad, que eran las necesidades de nosotros. Y le agradezco ahorita el comentario también que hizo ella, Miki, sobre el crecimiento de las casas que están pasando. Si había para nuestros hijos, para nuestros nietos, accesibles. Realmente si los trabajan aquí no va a haber accesibles de $500,000. No hay casa accesible para nuestra comunidad. Gracias, Miki, por todo. Gracias, señor Velázquez. Espero trabajar un poquito más junto con ustedes. Nada es personal, nomás que hay que trabajar juntos y tener la ciudad. Yo también requerí por la calle donde se hicieron los apartamentos que hubiera negocios como una farmacia. Nosotros tenemos que cruzar ahora. Y Miki, ahora que entren todas esas familias al tráfico a vivir en los apartamentos, va a subir el doble del tráfico.
Y ese es el problema. Niños no pueden ir en la bicicleta con un teléfono. Yo los miro todas las mañanas. Van caminando con su teléfono celular, mandando mensajes. Imagínate un niño manejando la bicicleta, que no los veo pasar. Ahí por 35 años que vivo en esta esquina de Teresita y Central. Pues se van a matar porque van con el teléfono. Ahorita ya los niños no manejan eso más que el teléfono, no bicicletas. Y nuevamente mis disculpas, Miki, no es nada personal. Vamos a trabajar juntas para una comunidad mejor, que no lo he visto en 45 años. Pero que ya no salga tanto dinero en nuestra bolsa. Mencionaste el SURE, sí pasó lo del drenaje, pero ya pasaron 7 años y sigue creciendo la comunidad y va a seguir tener que pagar uno más para más drenaje. Vamos a trabajar. Juntos todo lo vamos a poder. Gracias.
Gracias.
Mr. Mayor, would you like an English translation?
Yes.
Okay, very well. So Ms. Violeta Sanchez indicated that has lived in the city of Hollister for over 45 years now, over 35 years, and her address on the west side of town, and is looking for the benefit of the city. Has indicated that would like for the benefit of the city, but not necessarily increase taxes. She's indicated that she's in the age where she's looking at retirement, and that increased taxes is just going to affect not only her, but her peers. As she indicated that she has talked to staff and also to her Councilmember Luna, in regards to the projects in the city, and she is happy to work with staff and with the council member and the council to come together, to work together to see the benefits of the city. She indicated that a concern that she has is that there's no accessible homes for the people. Everything is really priced at $500,000, which is not really accessible. So she would like to work together with the city to find solutions for that. She would like to also see establishment like a pharmacy in the west side of town, which would be really helpful instead of crossing all the way to the east side of town. And also indicated that with all these projects, there's more traffic, and one of her concerns is that because she lives close to the school, she sees a lot of the kids, and a lot of the kids have cell phones. They're distracted, so she's afraid for their safety as well. So she has indicated that she would like to work together with the city to see better improvements, and that one of the examples that was talked about earlier regarding, like, for example, the sewer rates that passed, she says that it's been 7 years. There's been an increase on the sewer rates, but there has been no changes. And so she just wants to work together more closely with staff to help make the city better.
Thank you very much.
Alfonso Rodriguez. You left? Nelda Escamilla.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the staff members for the county for working so hard on this project and looking at the possibility that it's not going to go through tonight. Abraham and Mary and Veronica Lozama, who is in present tonight, I know they worked very hard through this project, and it's really amazing, and I know how difficult that is. But, there's going to be something better that comes along. It's going to happen. And so thank you specifically to them. 4th Street and Central are 2 different streets. 4th Street is pretty centralized. That's where all the new homes are being built. We do need businesses there. Central Avenue is not cut out for that just yet. Too many children, too narrow. So, and I know Ramiro has lived on that side of town, so he understands that pretty well. So, too bad that the rest of the phases are also going to be cut out. Hopefully it would have been better that maybe some of the phases would have gone through and not the others. But, that's the way it happens. I'm sure that they'll come up with a better plan with the staff members that were working on it before. So I want to say thank you to everybody who worked so hard, especially to those residents over there in the west side, both English-speaking, Spanish-speaking. Boy, those meetings were very it's when you think with your heart, it's the emotions run high, and you're thinking your children especially. So again, thank you for everybody who worked so hard on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Brevemente, la señora Imelda Escamilla agradeció a los trabajadores de la ciudad por las juntas y por poder traducir y poder llevar a cabo esta información y poder posiblemente no recomendar esta beca al Estado. También dijo que la calle 4 y la calle Central son son calles muy diferentes con necesidades diferentes y se tienen que mirar de una manera como son. Y también gracias también a todos los residentes que estuvieron presentes en esas juntas y por sus opiniones.
Fernando Gonzalez.
Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. I'm a little concerned that the funding will go away for the 4th Street. Is that correct? If you don't apply for this?
4th Street, yes. It's tied together. It's tied together.
Is the 4th Street improvement funding for traffic and beautification, is that part of this?
Well, the majority of the funding would have gone to 4th Street with the grant. But the City Council did commit by resolution to use local transportation funds and regional surface transportation program funds to help fund improvements that weren't eligible for the active transportation program grant, because those were only for bicycle and pedestrian improvements. So, for instance, the median the money was earmarked for that. So that could still be reserved. That's reserved for 4th Street.
I see. Well, my concern is that 7 years ago, all the property owners on 4th Street, those who had unimproved parcels and those that had improved parcels like mine, were concerned enough that we hired a individual to beautify and make the area safer. And as a result, I know that Mary and Abraham and Bill went to these meetings that we had. We had them at the Mission Oaks Parks, we had them at Calaveras School, we had them at the community center. And there was a real concern about beautifying the West Gate. And one of the things, I've been there in business 46 years. And in those 46 years, I've seen a lot of accidents. People get hit. And if you think about it right now, from West Side Boulevard to Miller Road, there is no safe crossing. And these improvements would have done that. And every day you see people on bikes or with grocery carts or some people in wheelchairs trying to cross that highway. I call it a highway still because everybody's zooming through there. And I would like to find out if taking Central Avenue out of this grant proposal and going forward with the 4th Street improvements, if that would be a possibility. Because it's so important for that area. You want to attract businesses, you got to have an attractive area to attract businesses. And the safety of people, some people don't come to my store because it's unsafe to get in and out, and people crossing the street. There's always people walking, crossing the street. It's a major thoroughfare. And I would just like to see if there was any possibility of re-engaging this grant for at least the 4th Street improvements. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brevemente, el señor Fernando González dice que tienen un apuro de que si se retira la beca de la calle Central, que también se va a retirar fondos designados para la calle 4. Entonces dice que por los 46 años que ha estado en esta ciudad, en esa área, hay muchos peligros desde la calle Western Boulevard a la calle Miller, y nomás pregunta que si se retira la beca de la calle Central se perjudicaría los fondos de la calle 4. Es la pregunta que tiene él.
Thank you.
Ramon Escovel.
Good evening. My name is Ramon Esquivel. I've been living on Central for about 27 years now, right across the street from the school. And Luna had mentioned since 2016, I believe this project was out there, right? You had multiple meetings. The only meetings I know of that we got flyers for were for the last two we had. The last two meetings, people said they weren't for the project. And we gave you guys some of our ideas, which meant right on Feliz and Central, the crosswalk lighted up, maybe. There are signs indicating there's a school crossing, a school within that area. I would say the most dangerous crossing on all Central is Central and Westside Boulevard. And well, all Central practically, because on a daily basis, like Nacho had said, people that are speeding are people that are dropping off their kids. All night you could hear them. You could hear the motors go up and down. And I mean, they're not doing 20 miles an hour. They're talking about 50, 60 miles an hour. If any child or any pedestrian was to cross at night, some areas are kind of dim, they ain't going to survive that hit. So, it's sad that we're not for the project due to the fact that it will be affecting the people that live there. But the ideas that were given was a safer crosswalk, which light up the crosswalk. Maybe put a crosswalk, a campus supervisor on there to have the crossing for the children. And not just on Central and Feliz, but also at the Westside Boulevard intersection. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
Señor Ramón Esquivel dice que tiene 27 años, que vive aproximadamente por la calle Central y dice que fue notificado solamente 2 veces de esas 2 juntas que hubo sobre la calle Central, y dice que algunas de las mejoras que se podrían poner puede ser posiblemente en la calle Feliz y Central poner una luz en la vía peatonal que se pueda alumbrar para que puedan cruzar los niños o las personas, y dice que una de las intersecciones más peligrosas es la Central y la Westside Boulevard porque dice que desde allí la gente o muchos de los que manejan no manejan 20, 30 millas por hora, sino 50, 60 millas por hora o más, y un golpe en esa altitud de millas por hora no puede ser sobreviviente. Así que desea que haya más mejoras para la calle Central.
Thank you.
There's no more speakers.
That's not.
Never mind.
I'll make it short.
Abraham, are you going to translate from Spanish to English on this one?
No, I think I can do Yiddish, though, if I have to.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed so many people are bilingual, and I'm not. I can't even understand my wife. She can speak like 4 languages. I'll try to keep it simple. I know you're restricted by the agenda, so you have to stay on the agenda. And the agenda is about the agenda is about the grant. But it kind of just strikes me strange, and I do often make these kind of assessments here in front of you, that, we closed off the high school, the road in the high school. Those are high school students, and we put up fences to make sure they didn't get hit. And they're big enough to take care of themselves. I've always said that. That has nothing to do, I don't want to go back and change something, but here's what I would like you to do. I would like you, and I think you can do this legally, to agendize the issue of for the future meeting, the issue of the risks at Central for the school children. I think you should formally agendize it. I mean, if we can spend all that money to close off the high school and build another road to go around the high school to save kids who are 15 or 16 or 17 years old that drive themselves, I think eventually you hear the testimony. And by the way, I'm familiar with this, not there, but I've seen it at the Mays School, people, the parents being the worst offenders, coming down at 50 miles an hour and pulling over and throwing the kid out of the car and then taking off again, and in the rain, okay? And you know, swerving so they don't hit the school sign, the one that says, careful school. So I think you should agendize it, that's all I'm saying. And I hope I'm not out of line to say that, because I think you can agendize things for the future whenever you care to. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Elia Salinas.
We're going to hear Marty in Spanish now.
Brevemente, el señor Marty Richmond indica que cerramos la calle Nash en la high school, y estos jóvenes que están en la high school están lo suficientemente grandes para cuidarse, así que lo que opina es de que la ciudad, el concilio debería de agendar los riesgos de los niños en la escuela Calaveras por la calle central. Y también ha visto que por ejemplo, en la escuela Mays Middle School hay también, muchas de las veces son los papás que manejan a una velocidad de 50 millas por hora, avientan, dejan a los niños y les siguen. Así que lo que les pide al concilio es de que si por favor pueden agendar una discusión en una junta futura para hablar sobre los riesgos que tienen los niños al ir a la escuela Calaveras.
Mayor, City Council members, Elia Salinas. I would like to extend my thanks to a great job that Mary has done with this project. I'd like to thank also Abran and Brian and Mary and let's see who else showed up at the meeting. There were so many people, and they were totally unexpected, and they were really taken aback by a very passionate crowd. I'm sorry to see that this project cannot go forward, but if it can be saved with regards to earlier that was mentioned about maybe using the funds for 4th Street, I think that would be great. Also like to clarify that it is an exaggeration that you would be losing 130 parking lots spaces, because that's not what was going to happen. Also, Chief, the fire chief is here. Martin, and I would like to ask him if he could come up and make his professional opinion with regards to speed bumps. There was some information that was said at these meetings that I attended. I attended both meetings, and there was some misinformation with regards to how the public safety departments feel about speed bumps. So if he could come up and make a comment on that, on what their opinion is for the fire department and for the police department. Maybe the chief can also ring in on this as well. Le quiero dar las gracias a Mary por el trabajo que hizo. Hizo mucho trabajo muy bueno con esto. Que quiero dar las gracias para Abraham, a Brian, a Mary, y también a la señorita Ledesma, por haber atendido estas juntas. Fueron unas juntas que fueron muy apasionadas. Las personas que viven en la área fueron muy apasionadas y claramente ellos son los personalmente que van a recibir los beneficios de esta beca, pero desgraciadamente no va a pasar, pero a ver si podemos salvar la beca para hacer algo con la carretera 4. Es una exagera de que iban a perder como unos 130 espacios para los carros, porque eso no es lo que iba a pasar. Y aquí está el fire chief aquí del bomberos y también el chief de policía, que a ver si pueden dar un comentario de que qué es lo que siente la policía y el departamento de bomberos con los, voy a decirles speed bumps porque no estoy segura cómo se dicen, topes. A ver qué lo siente, qué es la opinión de ellos por poner topes en la carretera de Central, porque es muy necesario. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers?
No.
No? Yeah, no, I think that would be for another conversation another time. You already spoke. Sorry.
Sir, I just wanted a city opinion.
Well,
if we could, because
at this time we can't. We listen to everyone and then we kind of move forward with this item here.
Just one question. That's it.
I'm sorry, sir. We got to move on here. Mary, the direction early on was to withdraw this application and look into traffic calming measures.
Correct.
Speed humps, lighting, stop signs, doing the things we need to do.
Correct.
Obviously especially around the school.
Yeah.
And as many people pointed out, the issue of West Side and Central, which is quite dangerous to cross, and we all know that when we go through. So is this the next step you're going to take, traffic studies, or is that what you're looking for from us?
Looking for direction, and we did as a result of the, yeah, that's the direction we're
Okay,
looking
you'd
for.
like to get a consensus from
Yeah,
the council?
and I would just like to answer Fernando's question. We can't piecemeal the grant.
Right.
It's the whole package. It's very competitive.
As you mentioned
So
earlier.
we-
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. So is there a consensus with the council to move forward with the traffic calming and other measures for safety in that area?
But, Mr. Mayor, I believe there was a request for an opinion from the fire chief, and I'd like for him to come up and just give an opinion on the speed bumps, or, because that was mentioned at 2 different meetings, and I think in order to get an answer to the residents, then I think that the fire chief should have an opinion of that, because safety vehicles actually have to go through these bumps.
We're all going to have opinions about a lot of things, but tonight we're talking about moving the next step of traffic calming.
And I understand that, but
And I
there
don't-
was
I
a
don't think
request from a speaker.
I understand,
and
Vice Mayor.
So
at this point, we're going to move on. We can hear those answers or those comments as we have those.
So there's 2 actions, one direction to withdraw, and the other is for the traffic calming.
Yes.
To look into those.
Yes. Thank you very much.
That's consensus on the withdrawal?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's getting cold in here again.
Can I translate that really fast, Mr. Mayor, members of the council?
Please.
2 direcciones que le pidió la señora Mary al concilio fue una de retirar la beca del Estado, para ver eso de retirar la beca del Estado, y otra para poder trabajar en el estudio para ver si se pueden hacer mejoras en la calle central para reducir los impactos del tráfico que está pasando por la calle central, por ejemplo, los vehículos que manejan de alta velocidad, y el concilio unánimemente le dio el sí a Mary. Así que esa es la dirección del concilio. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, are we all right here, or do we need a break? How's everyone feeling? Keep moving. Okay, we're going to move to item F1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The item before you this evening is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a service contract to provide fire protection services. For the first one is specifically for San Benito County. As you are very well aware, we've been working on this for a number of months to get to this particular point, and we believe that throughout the last couple of months, especially the last couple of weeks, working with the county, we've been able to sort of come to a place of consensus as far as staffs are concerned about terms and conditions of the contract. I wanted to just make you aware, I apologize, I don't have my computer in front of me right now, but there will be one small adjustment made. We noticed, I'm sorry, Kevin O'Neill from the county is here. He recognized that there, in the response criteria, that's a portion of the new contract, that there's just a small math there that talks about our response time should be about an hour instead of the 35 minutes in a particular area. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. And there may be a couple of other grammatical errors that we'll try to fix before it actually gets executed. The terms of this particular contract is it's essentially a 7-year term with 3 one-year options on the back end. Again, that was talked about at the fire committee. Originally, it was about a 10-year contract. However, I believe that both the council and the board of supervisors members, as part of that committee, requested that it be a shorter term. Some of the other things that were discussed in the contract is station number 3 and the desire for the county to continue to look at the Rosa Morada site, and if that becomes available, that we would start running calls from that particular location. Currently, as you know, we have crews out at the airport part-time until we have our fiber out there and can operate more efficiently out there. So we're only out there a portion of the day. Let's see. I think that's those are basically the general terms. I'd like to be able to, if you folks, the council has any questions for me specifically, I've asked Brett and of course Chief Martin Del Campo is here to answer any questions. Again, it's a pretty straightforward contract. It is now an amount not to exceed contract, so that the county can more easily budget for their expenditures in the future. One other key important part I forgot to mention is the actual purchase of some apparatus. There is going to be purchase of another Type 1 engine, a Type 3 for some of the county areas, and then another off-road water tender. The water tender that we most recently purchased is pretty much a structural tender. It stays in the streets and in the city of Hollister, and it's a valuable piece of equipment, but it's not necessarily one that you would take off-road to fight wildland fires. There is a clause that in the event that the city and the county sever the contract, there would be provisions in there for the county to either take over that new equipment, either by a purchase or depending on when it occurs, we can sign those over to them. So, if there's any questions, like I said, please feel free.
Bill, so I have a lot of questions because I've been on this committee from the very beginning and been involved in this whole negotiation from the very beginning. As I mentioned the last time we brought up this item, I requested staff to bring a thorough report to understand the financial part of this, because this is a huge amount of money that the city can find itself having to pay on. And if we're not clear here as a council, we could find ourselves spending an additional $2 to $2.5 million a year for providing some of these services. Obviously, over 10 years, we're talking $20+ million. Before we're making a decision on a contract like this, every council member should fully understand the true cost of what this means for the city and what it means for the county and the city of San Juan Bautista. We need to be absolutely clear here and with the public what we're trying to accomplish. If we're not, we're going to find ourselves in serious financial trouble and find ourselves looking for a way out down the road. I'd rather deal with it up front and be honest about it than just trying to approve something that we find ourselves in a fight about down the road. This is big dollars here. And I'm putting the warning out because I've been involved with this for quite a while, that we need to take the time to thoroughly understand this. We should not be rushing into this contract until we're all very clear that this is going to cost us a few extra $1 million as a city to provide the services throughout the county. So if that's the will of the council, that's okay down the road. But I'm telling you now, we do not have a clear picture of this here at the council. I specifically requested that we have that presented to us before we move down this path. So I would urge the council here to wait for that full report before we move into a contract like this. Councilmember Clower.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That report exists. I was interviewed as part of that process to find out what the cost would actually be. It exists. You can get a copy of it. It's public. If that's something that anyone's interested, I would say get a hold of Christine or Nova and probably have it emailed over to you by the end of the next day. Not to beat around the bush or anything, the city of Hollister would be subsidizing fire service in the county. It's how it's been the entire time we've had this contract. If anybody's looked at the numbers, you know that paying $1.245 million as the county, you're getting way better service than what you're paying for. As a council, we have to make a decision: is providing that service to the county as a whole worth the subsidization? And the argument's been made on a number of accounts that we are in a very unique situation in our county, that you have a city, which is the majority of the county for the most part, and if I drive up Sunny Slope I might go city, county, city, county, city, county 4 times. Do I want to have a much worse service if I happen to be on the wrong side of Bonningview? I don't think so. So we all have to make that decision, whether it's tonight or in the future, if it's other council members that are going to make it. If we're going to be providing that service, we're going to be subsidizing it. There's no other way. The county will never be able to pay how much it actually costs for us to provide the service. It comes down to how important is it to you to actually have that service for you and your family, whether you're in the city or in the county. It's not perfect. It hasn't been perfect. It wasn't perfect when it was decided the first time. And if anyone's ever been to a fire committee, the process is not very good. I mean, to see how the sausage is made is horrible. It's horrible. And it's been going on for years. But I don't see a better option. The better option in the report that exists was to have a special district, a special fire district. Everybody who read the report saw that that was the best option for providing the service, but how are you going to set it up? The only way is more taxes. So you've got to look at what's a possibility, what's the likelihood of actually being able to provide the service. If we want to wait, that's probably fine, but I think we're either 4 months or 16 months past when the contract was up already. So there's going to be questions. I mean, hopefully we can answer them as well as possible, but the information exists. It's been out for probably 8 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Luna?
Yeah, I would like to ask the chief, if there's an urgency here with any of the grants that you are receiving, should the city council hold off on approving this? Because apparently if that report exists, and it does, why do we have to wait any longer? But my question to you, is there anything here that will be lost, or grant funding that might be lost if we delay this?
Yes, ma'am. So what we have right now is a Department of Homeland Security grant from FEMA offered to us by our application process. The grant is for $2.5 million for 24 months for 9 staff members, 9 firefighters. But that grant was written addressing the city of Hollister, San Juan Bautista, and San Benito County. So if this contract doesn't come to fruition, I'm no longer eligible for that grant because it was written for specific parameters left and right. Also, we do have another grant on the books that addressed the regional component, which is for the training facility. That, I don't know if it would affect. It'll still be regional because it was part of the whole configuration. But you're looking at about pretty close to $3 million worth of federal and local funding for this.
So what is the deadline for this?
The deadline is a total of 6 months, and we're already 3 months into it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Gilio?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to ask a question of the county staff if they're able to speak at one point or another tonight, but I also have a couple other comments. I'm reading the revised fire study now, and the cost estimates actually range from $2.3 million that's total with Amador staffing at Station 36, all the way up to $4 million. So there's a wide range in there. So, to just say that we're subsidizing by $2 million, I think that's, you got to be careful about, what we say and how we say it and what the actual accurate numbers are. We're definitely going to be subsidizing. We have been subsidizing. That was a choice that this council made before I got here, to have a joint fire service. And I think the point that Councilmember Clower made is very apropos. If you're driving in this community, you're very, very, very seldomly going to be only in the city limits. It's just the way we operate. We have several county islands. We go from county to city. Our major transportation corridors are in the county, Highway 25, Highway 156, Union, Fairview, all these areas are our community members, our city members go into the county. So I think it's in our best interest to have a really enhanced service with EMS, fire, police, everybody to be able to do that. My question is for the county is if somebody's comfortable answering this, is there an intention to bring this to a board meeting soon to adopt this, or is this something that's going to sit on the shelf for several months, or if you will, Mr. O'Neill? Sorry to call you out of the audience, but I saw you sitting there, so I figured. I know the city manager and you have been working diligently on this together for quite a while, so I figured you might be able to answer the question.
Well, good evening, Councilmember Gilio. Quick clarification: are you talking about the contract to the Board of Supervisors?
If this body was to approve this contract to move it forward, what's your intention at the county? Is it to adopt this soon, or is it to adopt it in March or April, or what's your plan?
Right. So the next Board of Supervisors meeting is tomorrow, but we've elected to wait and take this to the Board of Supervisors on November 20th, should this council approve the contract.
So based on what we have here, which you see in our packet, you guys are comfortable with where we're at, and you're going to bring it to your elected body.
The contract you see in front of you is what we would recommend to the Board of Supervisors, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Councilmember Lennar?
Thank you. I'm in agreement with Councilman Clower. I think it has been studied adequately, and it's never going to be perfect. Let's keep in mind that we were responding to all the calls before to the county for free. Does everybody remember that? That was a great cost to the city. So now the county is paying their fair share for those calls that we used to service for free. I don't want to lose the SAFER grant because I think we just need the added personnel. I wasn't in favor of this merger when it first happened because I always said we were subsidizing the county, and boy, people didn't like hearing that. I was smug, I was this, I was that, but I've come full circle. And I think now it would be a crime to cut the county off from this service because they have depended on us, and they are our neighbors. They live in the same county, and I just don't see a solution for the county other than for the city to give them a helping hand, and hopefully they'll acknowledge that and appreciate it a little more because I think they've been a little bit unappreciative, so I'd like to see an improvement there. But I'm in favor of presenting the contract to the Board of Supervisors as it's written, and hopefully they'll cooperate. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Luna?
Yes, to the chief, do you foresee any problem with the city of San Juan Bautista?
No.
No.
Unforeseeable, no.
Okay, that's my question.
Chief, just so we're clear, when we talk about the SAFER grant, this is for 2 years. After that, we're picking up full cost.
Correct.
So we need to be clear about this.
And
this grant does not magically give us millions of dollars over the years. It takes care of us for a couple of years.
Yes.
And then we pay the full burden.
And it's a shared cost, so it's tiered. So by the time the end of the grant is concluded, we'll only be assuming 25% of it, of the total costs.
Yeah. So as I pointed out before, many of times at these meetings, the idea of the partnership is very important, and I will always stand by that. The issue we have now is how we're going to be paying for it to do it right. That's been an issue for quite a while, and the city subsidizing it is not the best answer. The city has to fix roads, has to provide other services too. We need to find the answer together as a community to make sure we're doing this right. Otherwise, we are going to be carrying this burden, and this burden is going to get very expensive very quickly on us. I'm just putting that wording out. It's not that we don't want the service. We just need to make sure we're finding a way to cover the cost of the service so we do it right. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in a position where we have to start laying people off, and that's the last thing we want to be doing. And again, I highly recommend to all of us here that we spend time understanding our own numbers so we're very clear how much we are subsidizing. The report shows what level of service we need in our community. It's a very good report. The question is, how much of it is going to come from the city, how much is from the county, or any other way? And this is a conversation we need to have with the entire public, the entire county, all residents, so we make sure we are providing the absolute best service and not just something we can afford for 2 years while we have a grant, and then when it disappears, we can't afford it any longer. So, again, numbers are very important here. Councilmember Flower.
Mr. Mayor, you and I have kind of gone back and forth on things like this in the past, and talking is fine, but we have to have recommendations that come from that. And my hope is that if you want to keep talking about it, that there's some recommendations, because you've worked on this more than anybody except probably the chief and the city manager. So what would be your recommendations to actually cover the difference? Because I'm only going to be here for another 28 days or whatever. So it would be nice to kind of figure out, if you want to take longer on this, where are you going with it? Because there's only a couple options, right? The county's got to pay the rest of it one way or another. Is it general funds? What is the funding source that you're going to recommend that they come up with, so that when we say, hey, we need more money from you, there's an expectation that maybe we can get some, maybe we can't.
Right.
But the negotiations have been going on for a really long time. And I'll be honest with you, I was surprised that they were going to pay 1.8 and change, because I didn't think that that was even in the realm of possibility. So I'm wondering where you're expecting that they're going to go. And if any number they can say is ever going to be enough for what you're thinking.
Right. So I think thank you for the question. It's a very good question. I think the first step is, again, for all of us to understand how much the city is subsidizing this program, just so we're clear on that. And then understanding with the county, with San Juan Bautista, what can we do to make it a little more fair? And I think our partners at the county and San Juan Bautista have been very open to some of these conversations. We just need to be clear. And again, I think we have good partners, but we need to understand first our own numbers and share those numbers with the public and with our partners and figure out how to close that gap a bit more, because we are going to be carrying a larger burden. As soon as the SAFER grant runs out, we will be carrying that full load. And it's going to be very expensive. So this is why I'm asking for more time for all of us to really understand the numbers in detail that we are subsidizing. Did we have it? Oh, Councilman Gillio?
Yeah, just real quick. Mr. Mayor, one of the points that wasn't pointed out by the city manager that's fairly new that I want to thank you for your leadership on was the, and I'm losing it here because I've been scanning around trying to find it and I can't locate it, but there's basically a growth escalator. So if the county were to somehow grow by more than 3% a year over the 3-4 year period, then there's an opportunity to reopen the contract and deal with it. Number one, and number two, if in the future the city were to decide that they were upside down, excuse me, I don't have my microphone on costs, there's always a out clause for either organization or agency. Right now, we're operating without a contract. We're on a month-to-month basis with them. And I hope we can move forward, and hopefully they can move forward. And if there is a severe imbalance that is not comfortable for any future council or any future board of supervisors, there's an out in this contract that you can give notice and sever the contract at any point for any reason. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes. Did we have any speaker cards?
Morning, Richard Hollister. I know this runs late into the night, but we've been here before, and we've been here before in this. So first of all, let me thank all of you for the honesty and integrity and forthrightness for which you're discussing this. We will be substituting. I'm not a fool. We will be subsidizing the county somewhere between $1.5 million and $2 million a year. That's the truth. And it is also true, in my opinion, and I hope the county members don't get insulted who are here. They treat us like an orphan. They treat Hollister like an orphan. But we are the orphan that goes out to work every day and brings home the money that they use to do everything. We've got 65% of the population, and if you really count If you really count Hollister, Santana Ranch is really Hollister. It's not county. It's the other side of the road. If you really count Ridgemark, which is really Hollister, it's not county. It's not 10-acre plots. We've probably got 85% of the population. And the truth of the matter is, if I get in an accident, I want the guys from here to come drag me out. That's the truth, whether I'm on 25 or wherever I am, because I'm just selfish enough to want to live through it, okay? The second thing is, and I'm not inventing this just to make an argument, because you've seen me write about it before, I am really concerned our ability to work if we have a natural disaster, specifically an earthquake. And let me tell you what, we'd do anything in the world to have those extra 10 or 11 firefighters assigned somewhere in this county, because if we have an earthquake, we have the population. We are most likely to have the big problem. And they might be able to get somebody from out of town because the bridges might be down. I know that nobody wants to pay for that up front, but you know what? When you need it, you need it. And if you don't need it, you should be glad you don't need it and not consider it wasted money. The best answer financially is to have a district. But we all know the taxpayers are going to say, wait a minute, I'm paying already with my property tax. Now you want me to pay again for a district. So a district takes 5 years of convincing the taxpayers that they're better off with a district. We will never get a district in a year or 2 years. You have to talk about what it is and what it costs and how much money you would save and what you get back from it if you have a district that covers everybody. And that way you'll get a fair thing. So is this fair for the city dwellers? No, it's not fair. But, you know, what choice do we have? Do you want the firefighters here if we have an earthquake? I'm going to sum up by saying you got the warning the other day, remember, 29 years ago? And here we are again in November this time, and everybody got woken up the other day because the fault said, I'm still here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Elias Salinas.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Elias Salinas and Council Member Lenore, you are absolutely correct. We were getting zero, and now we're going to get something, regardless of whether or not we lose a SAFER grant. They're going to try to get it, and that's what we should get. It's going to be helpful, at least for 2 years. And I find it very difficult to comprehend, Mayor Velasquez, when you sit up there and you say that there is no report, yet there is a report, then you quote something from the report. You've been on this committee the longest than anybody, so how can you sit up there and speak like you really don't know what's going on when you should know more than anybody what's going on this committee? And you can't sit up there and say that, you know, what's better for the city and what's better for the county. The county can't afford it. We know that. And Mr. Richmond was saying that, you know, that we're the stepchild. Well, actually, I think we're more like the big brother because we have the funds and the county doesn't have it. And we have friends and we have relatives out there, and whether you're on 25 down in Piscinas or down at Pinnacles, you're going to need some help. So we need to get this out there, and we're going to have it regardless or not. People, they're going to respond. So let's focus. What I've been saying for a long time is we need to work together with the county, and we need to get along with the county. And I really find it offensive that you can sit up there to say that you've been on this committee from the very beginning, and yet you don't know very much about what's going on with the contract.
Well, let me respond to you, because clearly that's not what I said. It's something you created there. I have been on this committee for the very beginning. I know exactly how this is funded because I've been involved in it from the very beginning. I know there's a report out there that recommended the best ways for us to provide service throughout this community. What I was saying, was to be clear, is to make sure our council members understand how much we currently are subsidizing this program. And again, I want to make it clear to you and everyone else, the program is very important. Very important. But we need to make sure that we are finding a way to make sure we're covering the costs. Mr. Gilio, you asked a very good question about how we're going to accomplish, raising more revenues from this. One of those conversations has been that to make sure each and every new home in the county pays their $350 towards the fire department to make sure they're providing services through a CFD. That's a very important part, which I've made very clear that that's one item that we start with to make sure we're covering the cost, because if the county grows by 1,000 homes and we don't have that fee implemented, now we're providing more services and we're not collecting any more revenue. Very important part. The other part that we have to be very clear about is that taxpayers of the city of Hollister pay 8.25% sales tax. The residents of the county pay 7.25%. There are ways for the county to do things to help raise the revenue they need and that we need to make sure we provide a fire department that can staff at the levels we need staffed. And they're understaffed. Nobody's going to question that part. To do this right throughout the community, this is why this conversation is very important. We don't just run off and say, let's just approve something. It's let's make sure we're working towards a common goal. Doesn't mean that it has to happen tomorrow. It just means that we have to, as a community, understand that if we really want this good service throughout, everybody has to chip in a bit more. Because the county has roads to fix, the city has roads to fix. We all have our costs out there. And we need to be aware of those numbers to be clear, because if not, first downturn in the economy, we're talking about laying off people and cutting services again. And we should never have to be having that conversation again. Because when I first became mayor, let me tell you how many people were firefighters at the time. 17. And several of those had pink slips, were ready to go. Now we're up 40. We can do it. We can do it right. We just have to make sure we're all understanding what we're dealing with so we don't make mistakes. Program, one of the best partnerships we've had in this community. Not to get rid of it. How do we make it work better? How do we understand how much our load is right now? How much are we willing to continue paying our side? If it's $1 million, if it's $2 million, if we all agree and the community agrees, that's just fine. But we have to be clear about our numbers up front now, not down the road when we're in a desperate situation. That's what I was pointing out.
I'll refute your tax claim, because when they shop in the city of Hollister, they're paying 8.25. The county's shopping in here and they're paying 8.25.
But there are other dollars, about $3 million.
Most of the city shopping is at 8.25, so that's a false statement there.
Well, actually, the numbers are about an additional $3 million for the county.
And also, there's a 3% inflator in this contract.
Lenore.
This is not a stagnant across the board.
Councilmember Lenore.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment. We
speaker cards first.
You have a speaker card? One more? Okay.
Mark Medina.
Hello, my name is Mark Medina, and I reside in the county on 1556 Foxtail Court. I sit here listening to this drama, and it concerns me. You ask your council members, I want you to understand. They can think for themselves. They have these numbers for over a year. I've had conversations with each and every person up there. And this has been going on for a year. Now, what is different? Are you going to wake up tomorrow and these numbers are going to change? We've had these numbers. Your job is to look at these numbers and analyze it. And now it seems like you have all the analyzed information in your mind, Mr. Mayor. My question here is, I think some of these council members have their minds made up. They did their analysis on the situation. So we need to go forward and either accept this contract or not accept the contract. But just to drag it on for another couple months might be for different reasons, but we need to do something, because once again, we're up here joking around a lot about the city and the county not getting along, or we're a stepchild. But we have 60,000 residents that depend upon the fire department. And that's what we're after. We're after the entire community, the entire county, and the city of Hollister. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Luna.
Yes, and my comment was going to be exactly what Supervisor Medina just said. We have a mind of our own. We study before we come up here and make decisions because we know the impact it has on our community. You know, for the mayor to sit here and say that he wants to make sure that we understand. I can tell you, Mr. Mayor, I understand. I read. I can understand, especially when it comes down, you know, to our fire department and our public safety, our police department and our public safety. Yes, that's very important. And I'm not going to hold off on anything else because I want this to move on. Because if the county is waiting around for us to submit, you know, our vote, then you will get our vote. So I just want to say that, you know what, you don't have to think for us. We can think ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gilio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple points I wanted to just make real quick, and we've kind of beat this up and talked about it quite a bit, but I think this is super important. So the additional staff that does help in the county also comes in and out of the city, and it actually benefits the city. So there's a mix there. This service is intertwined almost inseparably, because when there's an auto aid or somebody needs help and the county station is not busy out at the airport or wherever it's going to be in the future or in San Juan Bautista, they come here to help us when we are out of resources. That's a huge, huge benefit to our community. So it's, you know, it's very simplistic to say that, it's just dollars and cents, and we're subsidizing the county, and it's all about, the city and the money, and you gotta really look at this. And I have, Mr. Mayor, I've attended the fire committee meetings. I sit way back there in that back chair and I listen, and I've met with the fire chief. I've met with the city manager. I've talked with these folks, and one last point that's critical about the value of this is right now we have a ton of our fire staff working out of class. They're waiting on this either to move forward with the county, to not move forward with the county, and to be frank with you, what will happen is, and the attorney could probably back me up on this or talk better than I can, you'll start violating labor laws. Once somebody's working out of class for a certain period of time, you owe them the rights to that job. And there's going to be all kinds of problems. We can't just let this languish. And I really hope that we can all unanimously support this tonight and move forward. And if you do see a severe funding imbalance, if we do hit a economic speed bump and you're considering laying people off, that's the time to give the county the notice and say, hey, you know what? This is no longer working out for us. We don't have the money to do this anymore. And then we can absorb all those firefighters back in and not pay the overtime we're paying now and all those different things. Thank you for your time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 2018-281.
Second.
There's a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No. 4-1. Go to item F2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item F2 is a very similar request to have the mayor authorized to execute a service agreement for fire protection services with the city of San Juan Bautista. San Juan Bautista plays an integral part in us providing service not only to the city but the western part of San Benito County. Currently, we operate out of a station that's located adjacent to their city hall. One of the things, again, getting with these contracts is trying to have it managed from the perspective of a true contractor and not necessarily as a partner. So this contract differs a little bit in the sense that we are going to be paying the city of San Juan Bautista a lease for the facility that we use to provide them and the western part of San Benito County their services. And then also they have been fortunate enough to have, at least initially, they have a gentleman there who is a very good diesel mechanic, and we're hoping that we can continue to use his services on our apparatus when it needs maintenance, et cetera. And we're basically saying that we will pay him $75 an hour for him to do the work on our rigs. As you may or may not know, in years past, we've had to send rigs over to Oakdale or all over the area, and we would not have them available to us for long periods of time. So this is an opportunity for us to take advantage of him and keep our apparatus relatively close and a much less expensive option for us, actually. So.
Councilmember Flower?
If this is passed, how soon do you expect to see the lease agreement come back? And is it going to match the same floater that this contract has?
The lease rates are built into the contract under section D 4 or 5 or whatever it is. So we would essentially just put together a quick lease agreement that matches those lease rates, and the lease rates are go all the way out to the end of the contract term. So it's like years 1 through 3 are the same, then 3 to 5, and then I'm sorry, I don't have them right there in front of me yet.
Is it in the packet?
It should be, yes. It should be under San Juan Batista's arrangement, and it should be. I apologize.
Scope of services.
Because D is specific terms and conditions.
Special ones.
And I don't see it on there.
Dang it. I must have.
It's not a huge thing. I just think that we should see that fairly quickly, maybe at the next meeting if we approve this.
Yeah, no, for some reason, the attachment D on this one is not what the final version of it was. I apologize. I don't know how that would have happened. But yes, so it was probably because we didn't even address. It looks like Section D is more right off of the contract for San Benito County, and not necessarily attachment D for San Juan Batista. So I need to. I could probably get that back. I could get you San Juan Batista's their full contract on the 19th, if that's okay with you folks, just so that you see it. But yes, because there wasn't necessarily a growth limits in San Juan Batista. San Juan Batista is never going to grow at a 12% rate. So
they have fewer homes, so it's,
so it's
actually much more possible for them than the county.
They built 3 homes and they've hit that mark.
Yeah,
I don't think we're worried about their growth rate as much as we are the other things.
So it has San Juan Batista listed throughout that attachment, but it sounds like it's missing something.
Yeah, it is missing something.
Yeah, the attachment's
so
something.
I apologize for that.
Can we bring it back on the 19th? I'm sorry. I was just going to say the same thing you were. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
We need to table this to the.
I would certainly, in all due respect to the council, I apologize for that. I don't know how that would have happened, and yes, I would recommend that we get it adopted on the 19th. Both these contracts, I mean, it's critical that they both get adopted. So let me make that. I mean, one doesn't work without the other. But I want to make sure what you adopt is something that that San Juan Batista is expecting, which they are. So.
Okay. Do we have any? Do you have comment, Vice Mayor?
No.
Do we have any comment cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Again, I deeply apologize for that. That there's no excuse for that. I don't know how that happened.
To motion to continue to the 19th of November.
I'll make that motion.
Is that correct?
I'll second.
Yep. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Carson and Mickey.
Okay, we move to item G1. Reports from City Council members regarding committees. Councilmember Lenore?
What's that again? Is this the reporting one?
From the committees. Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you, Carson, for filling in for me in the water resource meeting. I know you thought you were done, so I really appreciate you doing that last one as I was on vacation. And then, Mr. Mayor, I wondered, was there a fire committee meeting on November 1st? Was there a fire committee?
The next
on
one, I
the
believe,
1st?
is in December.
So there was not a meeting November 1st for the fire committee?
I did not get it.
So then I'll be attending on the next one.
You'll be on the next
I'll be waiting. I'll be anxiously awaiting that. It sounds like it's interesting. I'll be trying to click here. Let's see. I would like to propose for a schedule an agenda item to discuss a one-day air
That's-
show
that-
on the
that's-
4th of July. Can I
Councilor
do
Lenore,
this?
that's on the next one.
I'm on the wrong thing again?
Yeah, informational reports.
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
I'm
We'll
sorry,
go
I'm a
back around.
rookie.
It's just about the committees you're on.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Councilmember Clower.
I did attend the Water Resources Association meeting, and there wasn't a whole lot going on there. It was kind of a quiet meeting, but the one thing that did come out was that that association is seeing the number of toilets that are being replaced drop significantly, so they're feeling that they've kind of nearly reached the 80% threshold that they were hoping to. And they've been doing that for a number of years for water efficiency. So that is still available if you have old toilets. I think it's pre-1992. You can get a free toilet. But there's not a whole lot of people that are taking advantage of that anymore.
Okay, Vice Mayor Luna.
I didn't have any meetings, but I am planning on attending the AMBAG meeting on November 14th.
Okay. Councilmember Gilio.
Both have had a COG meeting. Would you like me to discuss it, or would you like to?
You take care of it, sir.
I think one of the more right word here. I'm trying to. I'm losing it here, but concerning things that I heard, or things that we should all pay attention to as a community, is that the Highway 156 project is funded and based on STIP funding, which is State Traffic Improvement Program, and State Traffic Improvement Program is based on SB1 funds. And if SB1 is repealed, I asked our Caltrans representative, she sits right in front of us, I asked her directly, I said, is there a chance that the Highway 156 project would be in jeopardy? And she said, yes, that the funding, there have to be another way to find that funding that would be lost with the SB1 fund being repealed. So that's a big concern that we're going to need to pay attention to right away. And we'll know hopefully tomorrow night how things go with SB1. If it does go that it's repealed, I think that all of us elected officials owe it immediately to contact our state representatives. Even if Anthony Canella is our senator now, even if he's on his way out, Ana Caballero is our representative. She's was instrumental in helping us get this funding originally. We need to be very vocal and be the squeaky wheel. So I wanted to challenge all of us here to pay attention to SB1. And if you need help on where to address your energy and your concern and how to be a squeaky wheel, I've met with several folks, and I'd be happy to guide us all in the right direction to do that, because we do not want to lose that project or delay it any further. And frankly, I think that was probably the most important thing that came out of the meeting. There were some other items, but I can defer to you, Mr. Mayor.
No, thank you for bringing that up. And it's absolutely true. The 156 improvements could go to the wayside if SB1 is repealed. So thank you for bringing that. I had a meeting for the homeless continuum of care in Marina to discuss some of the funding coming in. Looks like the county, city of Hollister will be receiving about $1.8 million to go towards new facilities in our community. And again, the surrounding areas are now looking at San Benito County as a model of how to do this. So part of the conversation was, if they can't use their portion in time, those dollars would actually come to San Benito County also. So this is the partnership that the county and city have put together over the last several years, and it's again becoming a model throughout the Central Coast, which is good to see. All right, we're going to move to item G2, informational reports from city council members. Councilmember Lenore.
Is this where I say it?
This is where you say
it. I would like to know if the council would have a consensus to schedule an agenda item for the discussion of a one-day air show on the 4th of July with an enhanced fireworks display after the air show. I really like the air show, and I think maybe one day we could maybe get the cost down. I know you had a concern there, but I'm always looking for things that we can do for the community. I'm pretty sure they enjoy that, and I know they like the fireworks show. So if we could discuss it at a future meeting, I would appreciate it.
Thank you. Is that it?
And then also, Can I speak about the issue of the speeding? I mean, I was trying to say earlier, it's ironic that you would be talking about it now since I've talked about it for 20 years. It's not just Central. It's everywhere, and I've been saying it. And I know, Chief, you work really hard, and your men are great, but I need to see more traffic enforcement of speeding, not just in Central, not just downtown, and certainly near the schools. I'm looking forward to that conversation, but as a citywide thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Flower.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you to staff and everybody who put on the trick or treat street. I think if that might be it right. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but trick or street, something like that. But it was awesome. It was really, really neat, and my kids enjoyed it, and it was cool to see so many people out there, and you get to see people that you haven't seen in a long time, and I think it was a good community building event, and I think it's a lot safer than your normal old trick-or-treating. And I think that the way that trick-or-treating is happening now is different than how it was 10 years ago, because we went home and tried to pass out candy, and we only had like 3 or 4 people come by. So I think everybody was candied out from trick-or-treat. And then the other thing, I would just like to have an item on the agenda for the 19th regarding the long-term lighting of downtown Hollister. Got a lot of calls and emails and texts and about that, and it seems like something that people want to talk about. So let's put it on, talk about it.
Okay. Vice Mayor Luna.
Yes, I want to echo what Councilmember Cloward just said about Hollister downtown lights. I did receive quite a few calls on that. First of all, we received a request for students to assist, and I thought it was going to be, I was a little confused because there was apparently 2 different groups, and we have always assisted the Hollister Downtown Association. I'd like to see that on the agenda for the next meeting. Also, I want to call attention to the finance department, and being former employee of finance, we used to make sure business licenses are coming up for the next year. And I want to make sure that we have, and I just heard this evening that we have 152 nonprofits. Since I received a call about nonprofits that are actually working in the city, raising funds, and actually they're not a 501c3. And if you're a 501c3 and you're doing any work or any type of activity within the city of Hollister, you should have an exempt business license. And I want to make sure and bring that to your attention so that something gets worked out, and all these notices that go off for renewal of business license that may be worked through the Chamber of Commerce and other agencies to make sure that every nonprofit that is raising funding in the city is actually a 501c3 and is actually following the rules of IRS and the state of California, Secretary of State, to make sure that you have those numbers that you are required to report. So that was a concern that that was called to my attention. I want to further call it on to the finance department. One thing that I also want to report is that on LULAC will be holding their 25th anniversary Veterans Breakfast. It's at the Hollister Community Center, and the team of the veterans have gotten together, and they're inviting all veterans to come. It's on November 11th, and it's on a Sunday from 7 in the morning to at noon, and sometimes they go till 1 o'clock. We know that Congressmember Jimmy Panetta will be there. Other dignitaries will be coming. 2 veterans from our community, one from San Juan Bautista, and a local veteran will be honored. For the first time, they are honoring a veteran, doing a memorial for a veteran. I think it's quite an honor for the family to be there of that veteran, because after all, that veteran, while he was in the Army and serving in Britain, he was there with the United States Army. He is buried here in Hollister. His family originally was from Hollister, and I believe his grandchildren are coming in. So I think it would be a real honor. Mike Sanchez is their MC for the 1.5 hour program, and I really like to invite the community to come out. This is a community event, honor our veterans. So I like to just say that, and most of all, I like to thank all the candidates that stepped forward to run, and I wish them the best of luck tomorrow. Thank you, and please don't forget to go vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I know it's late, but I think it's important that I go over these awesome events we've had in our community in detail. Harvest for a Cure was a pretty amazing event. They were selling pumpkins and produce and raised a ton of money for cancer research. The Red Ribbon 5K, great turnout downtown, and right before that there was the Hollister Downtown Association Downtown Cleanup. Great turnout for that. Trick or Treat Street, I know everybody said it, but I really want to thank recreation staff, team members. I mean, unbelievable turnout. I was frankly shocked. I walked down there, I was like, holy cow, what is going on down here? And it was really impressive, and it was the atmosphere was fun. It was very family oriented. The costumes were amazing. So, please more of that in our community. That's just amazing stuff. Coming up also on Veterans Day, I believe we have a Veterans Day parade. I don't have the time off the top of my head. I don't know if anybody has it. Is it 1 or 1:30?
It's earlier.
It's in the afternoon, so head down to the LULAC breakfast, and then can go out to honor our veterans in a parade and say thank you. I'm sure we can get that information right away for you if you need it. Tonight, I didn't want to do this sooner because I didn't know how public Mr. Rivera was with his mom's passing. I'd really like to adjourn in his mother's name tonight, if you guys are all amenable to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, the ad hoc committee, we didn't put it on this agenda that we were going to work on for the parking.
Got it. For the in lieu of.
Yes.
Exactly right. We wanted to get work. I got a phone call the next day from Councilmember Lenore ready to go to work. I said, well, we have to get it approved first. So please make sure that is on the agenda for the next meeting. And personally, I want to thank the local business owners, downtown business owners that paid out of their own pocket to put up lights on our trees in downtown year round. I think it's great when we have the local business owners that are willing to do it, invest in their downtown, and willing to give the upkeep for the full year. So I think it's something we should be thanking our business owners for being proactive. So I was excited
but you
about that.
Forgot the 800 block. You forgot the 800 block.
Working on certain things. So that's all I have. Okay, we're going to go to G3.
G3.
Ratify the appointments for the youth committee. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I got to go back to city manager.
I have nothing to report.
City attorney.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
City clerk.
No report.
Chief.
No, sir.
Actually, they had cut you out here. I'm putting you back in here on the report. So.
Hey, Chief, do you have any more of those coins that you're selling in patches? Maybe I don't know if they're available still.
Yeah, we have about 50 left, yes.
Okay. Just want to point that out to the community.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to move to item G3, the youth committee appointment. Who's handling this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have obviously the City of Hollister has a youth committee. It's made up of 7 members. We are down 3. The request is to have you appoint these 2 individuals to the committee and authorize us to continue the advertisement of the 7th and final seat. So,
excellent. All right. Do we have any comments from council? Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
Sorry, no comment.
Okay. Is there a consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely, and thank you to the youth that applied.
Bring them on board. Bring them on board.
Yes, I love that.
Right here.
And I will be honest with you. They don't get a lot of pub, but I will say that this is a great group of kids.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, so cool. It's fun.
So let's make sure to bring them up so we can introduce them all to everyone. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's move on to G5.
Okay, everybody's yelling at me to hurry up. I'll send out the 3 more items after me, and I'm still on 11 o'clock time. Bringing to you the first quarter of the 2018-2019 fiscal year budget. Sorry, I'm looking for the clicker. So we are a quarter of the way through the year. So our revenue estimated is about 23%. So, like I said, we're 25% of the year through. Our revenue, we're estimated about 23%. We had to do a lot of estimating in the first quarter just because revenues haven't come in yet. We feel that we're pretty much right on par. We'll just watch it for the next couple of months. For expenditures, we're at 22%. So, I mean, like I said, with our revenues coming in estimated higher than our expenditures so far, we feel very comfortable. So we feel like we're pretty much right on track. The areas of always concern is engineering allocating their time. The revenue's at 24% of their engineering inspection, but they're at 40% roughly for their salaries. We'll kind of watch that. I mean, they've been doing some work on projects, but we'll monitor it in the next quarter to see if that changes a little bit. Our fun area was the fire department overtime. We can see it's at 87%, but we did want to realize that we did get payment for overtime for the strike team, which has been about $67,000. So that does lower it a little bit. What we'll probably do is move that money out. We do have a strike team department, and we'll move that money out just so that we can have that a lot clearer for future quarters. The big thing, what have we done in this first quarter? Well, we spent about $2.4 million on street repairs. Hopefully everybody knows the new smooth roads around here. We spent about $660,000 on storm drain repairs and about $300,000 so far in parks. So I want to at least highlight some of the good things that we've done. And big thing is questions. Like I said, I know it's late, and I did quick. First quarter is kind of hard to, just quick monitoring time.
Any questions from council?
No, just that I know it's your first quarter, but I think that as we progress, that there'll be more scrutinizing from myself.
Okay. We're always available to come down and pick those numbers apart for you.
Okay, do we have any speaker cards on this side?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much for the update.
Thanks, Brett.
Go to item 6.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Luna asked for me to place this on the agenda tonight just to give a little bit of an update on the rally. I really don't have much of an update on the rally. I haven't spoken to anybody in particular or any individuals specifically about putting on an event for next year. I'm always available if there are some individuals that are. I understood that at some point 4 or 5 months ago that there was a nonprofit organization that was trying to get established, to a local nonprofit organization trying to get together to try to put one together for 2019. Again, Dave and I, Dan, we're all available anytime to have those conversations. If there's somebody that is aware of something going on, please let them know that I'd like to be a part of that discussion as early as possible so that there isn't any surprises. And it's getting, I don't want to put Dave in a position where it's getting late again, and we are at the beginning of November, so there is a little bit of time, but we need to figure it out pretty quickly. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it up, and thank you for putting it on the agenda. And my reasoning for doing this is because, I mean, this year, it was in March sometime when it was brought up that said we didn't do anything. Well, yes, I brought it up last year again at the same time. So just so that people know that this is the reason I brought it up, because people were thinking about it, but don't think about it in March. Think about it now, And I want to thank you for the report, and I it will be in the minutes that there's no interest so far. So thank you, City Manager, for doing this.
Okay, any other questions? Any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll move to item 7.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. I'm hoping that this is a pretty short report for you. On the 27th of September, the Planning Commission at their regular meeting approved a project over on Hawkins Street. It was minor subdivision 2018-3 and site and architectural 2018-7. And on the 4th of October, there was an appeal application submitted by a neighbor, and so this item is requesting that the council set the public hearing for a date certain, and staff would recommend, if it's the pleasure of the council, to set the appeal hearing for November 19th at the regular city council meeting.
Okay,
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Question?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch it before. I held a conflict of interest on this item, maybe not for setting the public hearing. I don't know. Jason, conflict of interest for setting the public hearing?
Well,
go ahead.
You're close by,
I
right?
live within
Yes,
300 feet.
you'd have to recuse
Okay.
yourself. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I would say, just to answer your question, or what I think your question was going to be, if there's any doubt, if you think that there might be, then I would
For
recuse
setting of the
yourself from
public,
the
I don't want
entire-
to make any trouble
entire
for the
matter.
city, so I'm sorry.
Just for that, we're sending you to the
I'm
back
gonna
room.
go back here so I don't get you guys.
Shut the door.
me in trouble.
Okay. You may now continue.
We're done.
That's it.
We're done.
Councilmember Clower.
So in the staff report, or maybe it was an addendum or something that we received, there was some information. I'm guessing that if we do set this, we have to set it, we're going to get all of the information about the minor subdivision and the...
Yeah, that's correct. So in the staff report, you had the application for the appeal, but it'll all be discussed, and then the project will be provided, and it'll be re-provided as an attachment at the appeal hearing.
Okay, and without getting too far into it, it's kind of a weird situation. So can staff do everything they can to find whatever information exists on why this situation happened in the first place? Because that's going to be helpful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions from council? Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, you need a motion.
Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
There's a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, on item number 8, I've been recusing myself for this for about 3 years, and I'm going to continue to do it. I had a conflict of interest with one of the original locations that was put forward to the council.
Okay, then will you go to the back room now?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I will be joining Mr. Clower. I also had a conflict of interest with one of the original applications who had purchased stuff from a business.
All right.
Well, there's only one cookie left in there. Good luck.
That was quick.
I ate one.
All right.
There's only one left.
Who will be representing this?
Ray, are you going to do this one? Or me?
I was already sleeping. All right. Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. This item is for the our second medical cannabis dispensary. Just as a little bit of background, at its regular meeting of August 20th of 2018, the City Council authorized staff to open the application process for the second permitted medical dispensary. The application period ran from August 27th, 2018 through September 28th of 2018, and 2 applications were received. The Cannabis Review Committee reviewed both applications, and it was determined that only obviously one application was qualified, and that was higher level of care. Pursuant to Ordinance 1149, the City of Hollister may permit up to only 2 medical dispensaries within the City of Hollister, and the City of Hollister is currently working with Monterey Alternative Medicine, as you may already know. Tonight, staff is recommending that the City Council direct staff to work with higher level of care and prepare all necessary documents for the permitting process of the last medical cannabis dispensary. Should the City Council oppose staff's recommendation, the City Council may conduct a lottery, and staff is prepared to do that as well.
Okay. Is there any questions from council? Vice Mayor Luna?
Yes, I believe there's a business there already. Is that the one on Shelton?
Yeah, so higher level of care would be going at 1802 Shelton Drive, and they currently hold distribution, manufacturing, and cultivation licenses already.
So you're saying the dispensary would also be there?
Correct.
Okay. That was my question.
The question I have for you is the first applicant is taking quite a bit of time to open their facilities. Do we have a timeline on?
So once I prepare and bring back the CUP, is good for a year, and any building permit would activate that CUP. The first one it's taken a while because the facility was not ready to. I would say for them to run the business, they'd have to demo the building and then construct from the ground up. This facility is done and ready to go. I would say. So yeah, I'd say the applicant is ready to start operations as soon as they are permitted. It's my understanding, and they're also here if they want to answer any.
That would be great. If we could hear from them.
Yes. Yeah.
I just spoke with the applicant, and he gave a timeline of about 2 months from time of permitting to time of running.
Be open, ready to go. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Does this require a motion or just directing staff to work with them?
Yes, that's requesting that the council make a motion to work. Our recommendation is to have the council make a motion to begin, or direct staff to begin working with higher level of care for the second cannabis permit or regulatory permit process, just as the council did several months back with Monterey Bay Alternative Medicine. Very similar.
All right. So.
Is there a motion?
I would like to make a motion for the City of Hollister to go ahead and work with higher level of care.
Second.
The motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
3-0. 302. Bill, what was your mother's name?
Oh, Catherine Avery.
Yes, Catherine.
Catherine Avery.
Thank you very much. That's very cool. I wasn't expecting that. Appreciate it.
Mr. Gilio, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I would.
Thank you, sir.
To make a motion that we adjourn in Mr. Avera's mother's name. I believe it's Catherine. Can I get a last name?
Catherine Avery.
Avera? Just want to make sure. Thank you.
I'll second that because I knew them, both of them.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight.
You had the coolest parents.